Ubisoft, what are we doing? Like, what the hell are we doing?
Why are you like this?
Everything is delayed. Everything is canceled. I get it. You're trying to polish, but still this is wild and I'm freaking out. If you're delaying to make the games better, awesome. If you're just shoving in NFTs and Web3, I'll drink another candle. Just get it together. Just get it together. I wanna root for you. Please don't screw this up. Take your time, but I swear if you still launch something lame and broken, we're breaking up forever. I'm vibing. Ubisoft, what are we doing? Like, what the hell are we doing? Why are you like this? Everything is delayed. Everything is canceled. I get it. You're trying to polish, but still this is wild and I'm freaking out.
I'm sorry. It's stupid. It's pretty stupid, but hey, I thought it was funny. Just specifically, I was like, can you just scream? Can I have it just scream? It was like that.
Ubisoft, what are we doing? Like, what the hell are we doing? Why are you like this?
I'm sorry. I'm not mature enough for this. How are you guys doing? How we doing? We actually, I was planning on talking about stuff today, and then this news dropped that we're going to talk about in a second, and now there's a lot more to talk about. So if you're like, what are you talking about, Luke? I'm about to tell you. You're about to understand. Hold on, this light is too bright. Hold on. So Romeo knocked it over when he was in here. There I am. Like that. Romeo knocked it over when he was in here the other night, chilling with me. He's sniffing around, and there's a light on a stand, just like you can see part of the pole there, but it goes up, and he knocked it over. It fell on top of the Warhammer statue. It was okay. It broke off a piece of the blood on the chainsaw, but it's fine. Or the chainsaw sword. But the Lego Hogwarts also got pretty dinged up and fell apart, so I had to piece it together again. You know, he's a cutie, but he's a clumsy cutie because he's a puppy that is 10 months old and does not realize he weighs 75 pounds, which gets him into trouble because he's like, oh, I'm just gonna, I remember fitting in there. I'm just gonna squeeze under there real quick. And he's a cutie guy, but man, he gets himself in trouble. Yeah, other than that, I mean, he's been a good boy. Did he do anything else funny? I don't think so. He did try to eat, or try to chew rather, on like one of these candles. He took it down from the shelf, but it's like solid glass. Like, you're not getting anything on there, so he just kept slobbering all over it. He's a lot to handle. He's a lot to handle. Tell you what. So how are you guys though? Before we get into all of this, there's a lot, and we're gonna get into it. But I you know, the memes write themselves, but I do want to say that I think overall in like 2 years, we'll probably look back at this and be like, oh, thank God. But I think right now it's just like, you know, it's one of those moments. It's one of those moments. But we'll get there. Wonderful is what I am. That's good to hear, my friend. That's good to hear. Eat candles like father like son. You're damn right. He's trying to learn from the best, and I respect it. Honestly, I was quite proud of him. Quite proud of him. Real quick, hold on. Let me do. Thank you, Wabajack, for the sub over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. Very generous. Luke, are there any updates on the short form position? We're doing. It's still in the works. Gears are turning, but it's just a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, gears are turning. The nice thing is that no matter what, if you applied, your name is now in our Rolodex. So even if you don't get the position, you're still in our like list for when we hire another person or when we go contract and get like a contracted editor. So like we have options, but yeah, it's in the works. Chanster, Luke, are you able to give your thoughts on Mafia 3 other than the bugs? Should I play it now that I finished the other 2 games? I would say it's worth playing. It's a good time. It's just like, it is very 2016. It's an open world game that did not need to be an open world game. And so it's a product of its time, but you can have a lot of fun with it. And it's nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. It's just like, go to this place, clear it out, raise your reputation, do that 7 more times, you raise the district reputation. Like it's basically like a mid 20-teens Ubisoft open world. That's kind of what it plays like, but you can have fun with it. It's just not like a masterpiece. But the story and world building is all really, really well executed. The one bummer, and if you're playing on PC, you could investigate it, but the bummer is they updated it years after the fact, I think in 2021, and they stripped out the Elvis music because they lost the license to it, which like, it just sucks because that was like such a vibe to be driving around this like version of New Orleans, and you're missing that Elvis music now, and it was such a vibe, dude. It was great, but there's mods where it adds it back in. So if you're on PC, maybe investigate that because it is a vibe. It's a vibe. It's like playing Fallout without some of the best Fallout music. You know, it's a key component. So I'd encourage you to look up the mods if you're playing on PC. But yeah, I would say give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you play it for 10 hours and then you're like, yeah, it's getting boring, but you got 10 hours of fun out of it, right? Doing well, says Cool Master Manga. Hope you are too. I am doing good, my friend. The weather finally calmed down. We had insane weather here in Colorado for a while. Like gusts of winds up to 75 miles an hour and like losing power regularly. I mean, you guys know last week I lost power, was it Wednesday, for like 12 hours from like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. we didn't have power. It was crazy. And yeah, it would be one thing if they had like the infrastructure designed to handle that, but like I kid you not, even though we have all these windstorms, they still run power lines above ground, internet lines above ground. And so whenever there's a lot of wind, if there's anything that happens, you lose power. Like there's a reason why other cities and states and stuff, they run their cables underground. But for some reason here, we just deal with it. You know, predicted minus 49 degrees Fahrenheit here in Minnesota for Friday. Woof, dude. I remember I spent a year of my childhood in Minnesota, and I remember it being so cold that you could spit. And by the time the spit hit the ground, which let's be honest, as a kid, it was the coolest thing ever. You spit, and by the time it hits the ground, it was frozen solid. As a kid, I thought that was so cool. So cool. As an adult, you when you have nose hairs and stuff, you inhale, and then it's just ice. You know, like if you've never experienced that cold, the best way I can describe it is that you breathe and the inside of your face, your sinuses are like crystallizing. It's the most unpleasant feeling. It's horrible. It's terrible. Dreadful. It's just terrible. When do you think we can expect Chronicles Medieval? I have a feeling it's going to be a while. personally. I have a feeling it's going to be a while. I think there's a good number of those games that look like they have a, you know, they got a ton of potential, but I think that a lot of them are taking a while. So yeah. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Let's see. Okay. I sent chat right before you lost power. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you see Masters of Albion? I used to play Black and White a ton, so it's on my list. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. The problem with Peter Molyneux is just when he's allowed to talk, he overpromises and then he can't deliver on what he promises. But he still does know what he's doing. Sorry, I just realized chat's off. He does know what he's doing when it comes to making fun games. It's just that he can make something really good, but he promises this and then people are disappointing because it's not on that level, right? So as long as he can like contain himself, it works. It works. Yeah, it's I think it'll be fun. Not a game for everybody, but I think it'll be fun. I know your username is Spec Ops because recognize the profile, but just so everybody knows, YouTube made a change where they changed it so now it doesn't show your like preferred name as your username. It shows your account like actual name, not your like nickname for the account. So if you're like, hey, you usually call me this, but all of a sudden I'm calling you by a different name, it's just because what's listed. Okay. But Jeff Spec Ops, thank you for the 35 months. Appreciate you. 35 months. Let's go, Luke. Indeed. Let's get it. That gets 2 booms. Boom. Boom. Little delay. Got to keep you guessing. Side note, when your kiddos get older, I'd recommend sugar gliders as pets. They're worth a look up. What are sugar gliders? Oh, wow. It's a small, omnivorous, arboreal, and nocturnal gliding possum. They weigh about 5 ounces if they're female. And they look freaking adorable. Do your kids have these? That's crazy, dude. I mean, I've seen these. I didn't know you could have them as a pet. They're freaking adorable, though. We have 2. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's pretty freaking cute. Oh my god. Oh my god. See, I would like that. I feel like we'd have to make sure we don't have cats by that point. Know what I mean? Aphrodite and Athena, they have a 6 by 6 foot mansion cage. Oh, dude, that's actually kind of baller. That's kind of baller. That sounds like a vibe. Oh yeah, they got little toys and that. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be really fun. I could totally see that. But I mean, I could see it driving my cats crazy, dude. Crazy. Romeo wouldn't care. Romeo would be like, cool, a new friend. Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty cute. That's pretty adorable. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I would have never known you could even do that for a pet, but there you go. Tommy, thank you for the 2. When do you think we could expect Chronicles Medieval? Like I said, I think it's gonna be a while. And then Man Meet Sing, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, Ubisoft canceled 6 projects, including Sands of Time remake. WTF, Ubisoft. Oh yes, we're gonna talk about it, my friends. We're gonna talk all about it. I've got thoughts. Hermione would try to hunt it. For real, dude. For real. She has no chill. And, you know, it's because she's like a farm cat. She means well. She's trying to like provide for the family. So she'll go and hunt. But sometimes it's like, could we not? She has no chill. But, you know, it's what you get with a cat, a tortie, you know. It's what you get. Okay, so we are going to talk about all this Ubisoft stuff because it's a lot. Ubisoft being Ubisoft. Weirdly, though, no. Because when we, like, the headline is really jarring and, like, what are we doing? As the song we played at the start would suggest. But when you actually dig into it, it actually sounds like an actual change of pace and strategy. I think probably in a good way. but still, nonetheless, I think it's worth mentioning. Let me do this. Where did it go? I wanted to also pull up, where's the story about here it is. Yeah, the Ubisoft lawsuit, because we just talked about this, but this I think ties into everything that we're talking about today. It's a whole thing, as I like to say. You be broke, we will all be broke this year with how many games are coming out. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Sorry, I feel naked without a watch on. So I gotta put a watch on. I feel naked without it. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, did I bring that thing down? I don't think I did. I got a package sent to me from Poland. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I'll go grab it real quick. It's pretty cool, actually. I'll grab it and show it to you guys. It's cool. 35 seconds here. It'll just play the Ubisoft whatever we're doing. I'll be right back.
Ubisoft, what are we doing? Life, what the hell are we doing? Why are you like this? Everything is delayed. Everything is canceled. I get it. You're trying to polish, but still, this is wild and I'm freaking out.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, happy, I guess, whatever Wednesday from the US to the UK. And yeah, I guess it is after work for you. Baller. Love it. Okay. And thank you for the 10. That's super generous. Thank you. Heart emoji to that, frankly. Let me share with you guys this and then we'll get into it. I just want to show it because I appreciate them sending something from across the planet. That's kind of cool. I got a package from a little company, you may have heard of them, from Poland, CDPR, and it showed up, and it turns out it's been 5 years since Cyberpunk, and they wanted to do like a celebratory thing, and so they sent this, which is like a cool carrying case. It's got Cyberpunk stickers and stuff on it. But when you open it up, you look at it, it actually has, like, these are funny, these little Polaroid things of Johnny at like nightclubs and on the beach and like around Night City, which is kind of fun. And it also has like some artwork. It has a little, come on, get in there, like stickers and stuff. Welcome to the City of Legends on the back. It says, thanks for all the support over the last 5 years. Sending this Preem Nintendo Switch 2 game card so you can hop into the City of Legends and become one yourself. Night City ain't the same without ya. And it also has like a mouse pad for you if you need one. It has like the art book, I think, from the Ultimate Edition of the game, I think. But this is all like the Switch 2 variant. I'll show you the coolest part here in a second. This also, they have the actual literal CD for the OST. I appreciate it. I don't know how to play a CD nowadays, but I appreciate it. And this is the cool part that I actually want to show you. It's a copy of the game on Switch 2, but the team signed it. Like, how cool is that? Like, they actually signed it. I'm gonna be real. I'm bad with reading signatures, so I'm not sure whose is whose. But like, that's pretty cool, right? That's very cool. I very much appreciate it. So thank you to the team over at CDPR for sending that to celebrate 5 years. And I mean, honestly, what they've managed to achieve in 5 years is kind of remarkable. I think a lot of us looking back, like, with how it started versus how it's going, I mean, it's night and day. They really did a ton of worked their asses off, and took it from a game that was broken but had potential into a game that's just fantastic across the board. And they deserve credit for that. They really do. Because, I mean, they could have just walked away and be like, we'll just move on to The Witcher 4. But they didn't. And I got to give them credit for that. And now with Phantom Liberty and all of the updates they've done to the game, it's one of the best RPGs I think ever made. Like, it's so good. So good. So good. So I wanted to share that. Shout out to CDPR. Thank you for sending that over. Very, very kind. And to get the team signatures on it, I find that so cool. I love that kind of thing. So thank you. Now let's talk about something less awesome. Let's shifting gears, reset. Okay. Let's talk about something that makes us sad. Let's do that. Okay. What am I drinking? Huel Energy Plus. Huel Energy Plus. They have been a sponsor recently, but these, I bought 3 cases of these with my own money because I'm addicted to them, and they end up saving us a ton of money on coffee, and they're only like 35 calories. Ooh. And so they give me like the caffeine boost, but they also have a bunch of other things like electrolytes, and they also have, where is it? Like fiber. They've got all sorts of stuff in it. Vitamins, minerals. It's all there. So I appreciate it. And it's way cheaper than a coffee addiction. Tell you what. I love me some coffee, but man, one of our coffee shops, our local coffee shops near me that I go to regularly, they did a new thing, which like sounds great. They got rid of tipping because they were like, tipping, it's just awkward and nobody wants to be the bad guy. So you end up slapping an extra $1 or $2 onto every drink. Like tip culture is out of control. So the owner of this coffee shop was like, we are going to increase the pay for our employees and no tipping. That's our policy. So I'm like, okay. They just ended up adding like $2 onto the price of every coffee, and then that's the tip. So like, didn't really achieve a lot. Americans tip for coffee. Dude, in America, you are expected to tip for everything. Everything. It's like, it's a little mad. It's a little mad. Buy Nespresso. I do have a Nespresso. I actually do have a Nespresso. I go through waves where I like different types of coffee. So I will have lattes and stuff I make at home. But then after like a few weeks of that, I shift and I'm like, ooh, I like nitro cold brews right now. And I can't make my own nitro cold brews. So then I go out and get that. You know, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. Just like, you know, an addict, you know. They expect you to tip your tattoo artist. Yeah, it's people who are from like the UK do not, or UK, Europe more generally, they don't get it. Like here, you go to Taco Bell and like you order through the Taco Bell app and it like tries to prompt you for tipping. Like it's insane, dude. It's insane. They'll even, this is ridiculous, and I didn't believe it until somebody showed it to me. When I was in LA for Summer Games Fest, somebody was ordering food through those little robots that drive around. I think they're Grubhub or DoorDash robots. I forget which one they work for, but they're one of those. And they go and it's a literal robot delivering your food to you from the restaurant. The employee at the restaurant puts the food in, locks it, and then drives on the sidewalks to you. And that prompted them to tip the robot. I was like, what? We need to tip the robots now? We need to tip the clankers now? What are we doing? Who's taking that money? Is it just going to Grubhub? Like, what are we doing? You know, it was insane. It was crazy, dude. Yeah, I'm not tipping a filthy clanker. Are you kidding me? It can go sit in a corner and charge for all I care. You know? I don't care. Cancel me. I don't care. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Thought this was America. Thought this was America. Land of the free, home of the brave, where we don't tip those filthy rubber wheels. I'm trying to think of other names to call robots that like are fine because it's a robot, but you know, but like sounds bad. I don't know. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Tipping isn't much of a thing here in the UK. It's optional for outstanding service, but not relied upon. Well, and it's funny because in some places I've traveled to, tipping is like kind of expected in like a luxury hotel or resort. So like, you know, the bellhop brings your bags to your room. They expect maybe $20 or something for doing that. And that's like for the premium service, you're expected to do that. There's other times though where you go to a resort or a hotel or something and their premium aspect is that you don't tip. And so it's like, no, you don't tip, you don't do that. There's some places still that do it. When I worked at Best Buy, I remember they had to have a company meeting to tell us you're not allowed to take tips. Because it used to be that if you did outstanding service, you helped somebody pick out a TV, spent 3 hours with them, set them up, got them the whole kit and caboodle. If they gave you a 50 to be like, thanks, you could take it. Nowadays, no, they will fire you if you do that. And they say it's because they don't want you to be bribable. So like, hey, if you give me this discounted price match, I'll tip you $100. I think that's what they claim they're trying to stop, which I get. But also, if somebody's taking a bribe, they're not going to tell you about it. So if it's a tip, like, you know, like it's just, it seemed like I don't know. I think they thought it would be unhealthy for the company culture and like the shopping culture. So then they just ended up hiring nothing but high schoolers. And at least at the one that I used to work at, bro, it's ridiculous. It's so bad. Best Buy's fallen. Best Buy's fallen. Nespresso is the worst, as you have so much garbage with the capsules, and it's owned by Nestle, a company which shouldn't be supported. Like Ubisoft says, Lil Pup. They do recycling, so you get the Nespresso pods and then you send them back. They recycle all of the aluminum and turn them back into new pods. So they just recycle them and reuse them. So it certainly sounds really bad that you're like going through all these pods, but they actually recycle them, whereas like Keurig doesn't, which is kind of cool that they can just recycle them, which is nice. But as for what was the other thing? Nestle, owned by Nestle. The amount of stuff Nestle owns, dude, is crazy. Like my viewpoint is, as always, especially if you have an ethical objection to certain companies, if you want to boycott them or like refuse to engage with them, I have mad respect for you. But I think in the to use, I think it was a Marxist phrase, to flip it on its head, I think it's there's no ethical consumption in capitalism, I think is what they say. I don't, it's been a while since I was in a college lit course. But I think like these companies own so much of everything that if you're going to try to boycott that company, you're just going to end up living in a hovel in the woods, you know? Like, and so to judge people and be like, you're a bad person because you eat Hershey's chocolate. It's like, I don't think that's fair, you know? Like, I don't think that's fair. Some people are just eating chocolate, you know? They're just eating chocolate. Let's talk about, you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Luke? Nestle killed my dog. Confirmed, dude. Confirmed. Honestly, though, their chocolate, I doubt there's enough chocolate content in it to actually, I mean, don't feed your dog chocolate. The joke is that it's like half wax. And so it's like, oh, it's plastic chocolate, so it's not going to make your dog sick, but still don't do it. Okay, don't do it. Don't give your dog chocolate. Okay. Shifting gears. You guys broke my brain. Oh my God. Welcome to Luke's stream, folks. Yeah, dude, I know. Okay, let's do this. New segment. Damn it. Get to the point, Luke. Today is a day of mourning and sadness. Ubisoft has canceled 6 games, including Prince of Persia and the Sands of Time remake. It's a crazy day, a crazy moment that is here with us today. And when we review such a thing as this of that, we need to have introspection and try to contain our frustration. F's in the chat for Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. I'm going to go through this announcement, what they just revealed today. We're going to go through the details of it. because there's actually a good number of details for us to sift through. But I do want to be clear. I think in 2 years, we're going to look back at this and probably be like, that was the right call. That's the vibe I'm getting, okay? Right now, it's very frustrating. But what I see here, at least what seems to be happening, I think is good for the overall company because it directly responds to one of the frustrations we've had with Ubisoft for like a decade, which is their lack of focus, their like literally just throwing everything at the wall, being masters of none, trying to do everything a little well all at the same time. That's what they're trying to do. It's still shocking and surprising because a lot of us thought that some of these projects were much further along, but I just want to start this out by saying, I think in the long run, this probably is a good choice. Okay. Like it's frustrating as hell, but I think if we look at the big picture, we look at the forest, not just the tree, it's probably a good move long term. And it comes on the heels, of course, of what we talked about on Monday, which is that Marc-Alexis Cotier was booted out and he's now suing Ubisoft for basically forcing him to quit. That's his claim, at least. He's saying that by offering him this other position, which they reference in this report, that they effectively were demoting him and pushing him to be fired, which is why he's suing them for damages and severance and all of that. But this will circle back because what we see here is specifically there's a point where they describe that he was offered the position of head of production. And then later in September, the lawsuit stated this, that he was offered the position to lead a creative house with abstract outlines. We didn't know what this meant. Creative house, what the hell does that mean? That's described here. Okay, we're about to find out what that actually means and what they're doing. So we're about to find out a lot of this stuff and get into the details, but my knee-jerk reaction is that in theory, this is them refocusing and trying to do a couple things really well as opposed to a bunch of stuff mediocre. Could end up that they're just delaying stuff to shove NFTs in. That's possible. Okay, I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But in theory, they are refocusing. Okay, what is this exactly though? So they have announced that they have delayed 7 other games to ensure enhanced quality benchmarks are fully met. This was part of a larger announcement where they went over a bunch of different stuff that they're doing as a company. They effectively described that they are doing a massive like review of their company processes, and they're trying to figure out what they need to do to not have their stock price plummet constantly. It was funny. We just did that video the other day on the AC Hexe stuff. And what was fascinating was when we looked at the long-term scale, like the article we were talking about was from, I think it was like August or September of 2022, like right here. And then it just proceeds from that moment to just continue plummeting and dropping, or 2021, I think it was. It just continued to plummet. This is the chart of a company that's not doing great. To be clear, this is ADR, or American Depository Receipts. A lot of companies that are European and trade on European stock exchanges, they don't trade in like the New York Stock Exchange. So the only way you can buy shares of them is with an ADR, is what they're called. This particular one is for 1/5 of a normal share. So the actual stock price is 5 times this, but it's kind of, I'm getting into the weeds. The point is the chart will be the same because it's just, you know, a fifth of it. It's just shrunken down, but it's the same proportions. But this is the chart of a company that has been in free fall and that has had rough managerial action. There's not a lot of confidence from investors, and this is their attempt to refocus. Okay, so in this same period of time, basically they've been going all over the place. They've been trying to figure out what they want to do, and when they grow desperate, they start to just panic and try a bunch of different stuff. New IP or spin-offs from established IP, things like XDefiant, which is technically a spin-off, or at least started as a spin-off, but kind of turned into its own thing, and then they abandoned it very quickly. That's what they seemingly are stopping. So in this announcement, they announced that they did a review which led to a decision to, quote, refocus its portfolio, reallocate resources, and comprehensively revise its roadmap over the next 3 years. That is not that long of a time, okay? 3 years for a company like Ubisoft is short term, okay? Because you're talking about projects that can take 4 to 5 years, and you're talking about assignments to studios where you're assigning stuff like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in advance. So this is a big deal to be like, short term, we're overhauling a ton of stuff. And that's why it was kind of surprising to hear what they've specifically done. Ubisoft said it will focus on, quote, a return to exceptional levels of quality on the open world adventure segment, and to step change the group's position in the games as a service native experiences segment. As a result of this, Ubisoft said it has discontinued 6 games that it felt, quote, do not meet the new enhanced quality as well as more selective portfolio prioritization criteria. So, bare bones basic. They say that they're overhauling to focus on quality, which is something we've heard from them since Star Wars Outlaws, where they said, hey, we can't keep shoving stuff out that's like half-baked. We have to actually like be exceptional to compete. And that is a consistent thing that you're going to see as we go through the rest of this, is that they've made it clear competition's not going away. If we want to sink, or if we don't want to sink and we want to swim, we have to actually be competitive when it comes to quality, not just volume, which has historically been what they've tried to do. Because Ubisoft's strategy for like 15 years was, you don't need 5 9 out of 10 games. You only need 20 7 out of 10 games or 6 out of 10 games, you know? And that's what they tried to push. Nowadays, that doesn't really work because it's so competitive. There's so many games out there, people just won't buy your game, you know? So they've reviewed these games that were coming in the very near term, within 3 years, and they have discontinued them because they felt they did not meet new enhanced quality standards. This means that the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake has been canceled, as well as 4 unannounced titles, including 3 new IPs and a mobile title. The identity of the 6th game has not been clarified. So that's still up in the air. The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, I'm not going to show it here because I forgot to pull it up because I'm a professional. But it leaked recently. There were leaked slides that dropped and showed some of the overhauls. This thing has been kind of a dumpster fire for a while. They did the announcement trailer back in the day, and it just did not look very good. And so after this dropped, people were like, bro, this ain't ready. And so they actually reassigned it. I believe it went to Montreal. Montreal started doing it and overhauling it, and it was looking really good. Some of the leaked stuff that came out actually looked really solid, but they've decided, nope, we're just gonna cancel it, move forward. We're not gonna bother with it. We're not gonna risk it, basically. And again, it kind of follows in line with their expected refocusing, which is, what do we do well? We do open world adventure. That's what people know us for. That's the key of like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. You could even say to a lesser extent, games like Division fall into like the open world adventure subcategory, or maybe you put the tags on Steam. But like, it's still mostly about large open environments, about exploration, adventure, and that sense of exploration and discovery. That's what they want to become the kings of once more, because they used to be that back in the early 2010s. Like, seriously, they were coming out swinging with games like Black Flag, even AC3 to a lesser extent. And nowadays it hasn't aged that well, but back in the day, AC3 was like a big deal, you know? And they want to get back to that, and they've said that for a long time, and this is their attempt to refocus on it. And this is what's also particularly interesting. So with all of this, we're hearing this, that they've refocused their portfolio and they're trying to comprehensively revise their roadmap. They want to return to exceptional levels of quality on the open world adventure segment. We're hearing all of this. What was Marc-Alexis Cotier's big thing? When he was in charge of Assassin's Creed, his big thing was to target individual niches with games that focused on them. So his whole thing was like, okay, we are going to make a Assassin's Creed game that targets multiplayer, and then we're going to make one that's like an RPG, and then we're going to make one that's like mobile phones. And then we're gonna make one that is like stealth focused, okay? And so his idea was that he was gonna just make a bunch, again, volume. He was gonna make a bunch of these games, and each one would appeal to a niche, and that would allow them to effectively hit every single one of those niches. The one assumption there that's kind of big is that people will engage with that content on the power of the IP almost exclusively, because this just kind of assumes that the players will come. What I think this is funny because it's kind of like a no duh, but the big realization for Ubisoft over the last year and a half, 2 years, specifically after Star Wars Outlaws, it seems, was that IP alone will not carry the day. You have to have quality as well. Star Wars is like one of the biggest IP in the universe, and it was not enough to carry Star Wars Outlaws. So clearly IP is not the end all be all deciding factor. You have to have quality associated with it. And so just doing AC multiplayer, AC stealth, AC RPG, AC phones, AC story, right? Like with what Hexe appears to be. This might work if you can deliver each of these by modern standards at like that, well, we'll say like A plus level, or maybe this is like a B plus, and then this one is like an A minus, and then this one is like a B minus, and then the mobile game, you know, maybe you can get away with a little worse quality there because it's a mobile game, but you need to really hit high quality standards for all of these. But it's really, really tough to do that because these are all fundamentally different games. And it reminds me vaguely of like the Jim Ryan PlayStation thing, where he just started assigning all these teams that had never done multiplayer games before, multiplayer games. And so he's like, yeah, so Naughty Dog, you guys just do a multiplayer game. And they're like, okay, like we've done multiplayer modes, but we've not done a live service game. You want us to do that? And he's like, yes. You guys are one of the best studios in the world. Like, you win tons of awards. You guys will just make now an award-winning mobile game, or multiplayer game rather. They're like, okay, we'll try. And they spend 4 years, 5 years doing it. And then they're like, actually, this isn't working out. They cancel it, move on. But this seemed like a similar thing where he was going to have Montreal and Quebec and all these other satellite studios like Bordeaux for the stealth game. He was going to have all these other studios working on these various games and just kind of hope and trust that they'd be able to juggle all of this while maintaining high quality or high enough quality standards. But what's happened since the restructuring of Ubisoft when Tencent came in, it seems that Tencent did not like this vision. Tencent thought, you guys have found success specifically with open world adventure gaming. That's like your strong suit. That should be your strong suit. That's where the IP are comfortable. That's what we should be doing. So let's stop trying to do all of this other stuff. Let's stop trying to juggle 15 other IP and stop trying to do all of this stuff where it's just not working. Let's stop that and refocus on what we're actually good at and what our audience is actually expecting. And that seems to be what they are doing. And I think that's why Marc-Alexis Cotier was booted out, because they looked at him and said, we just don't think your vision for the franchise aligns with the new company-wide vision, which is to focus on a couple of key subsects of what we do and become the best at those, or one of the best in the world at those, which I think is a good idea. Like, I think like Mark's strategy I liked better than the previous strategy, which was to do the AC Valhalla thing, which was to have one game that tries to do all of those. And so you have an RPG mixed with a stealth game, mixed with a sort of live service, constantly evolving and updating game, mixed with this game and that game. And it's just like a bunch of stuff that's all or all mediocre or fine, but it doesn't do anything well. I thought specializing, the odds of those, like one of those or a few of those being better, goes up, which I think is true. But I think that the even better approach is like, let Assassin's Creed be Assassin's Creed. Stop trying to make it into 15 other different mini projects and things. So I think that's why he was booted out. Now, what's interesting again is that they offered him reportedly the position to lead a creative house. What does that mean? Well, they describe it in the upcoming section. Okay, so the Prince of Persia Sands of Time was also canceled. That remake was canceled. That, I would guess, is because they want to free up work at Montreal. The team that was doing this, I believe, was at Montreal. And you know what Montreal's working on right now? Anybody? Anybody in chat? We're on a slight delay, so I have to awkwardly wait here until somebody, like, till the stream catches up, and then you can put it in chat. So this is like me stalling for time briefly. Hexe. One person got mad at me in the comment section, like, it's German, Luke, so it's Hexa. They might be trolling me. I don't know. I've called it Hexe. That's what I'm gonna say. Yes, they're working on the next big Assassin's Creed game, Hexe, which is allegedly coming out later this year. That might have just changed, but that's at least been the goal. And by freeing up maybe 100 or 200 extra people that are now no longer working on Prince of Persia, they might be able to just reassign those guys to work on Assassin's Creed and get that across the finish line without having to delay it even further. So that, to me, is probably what they're expecting. Because I think the upside of Hexe doing really well is a lot higher than like the maximum potential for Prince of Persia. Like, this might sell a few 100,000 units or something, but if they can get Hexe out really good by Christmas, I think that makes way more money than this would. So that's their priority, right? Continuing on, Ubisoft also announced it was delaying 7 other games. Quote, to ensure enhanced quality benchmarks are fully met. This includes the, quote, unannounced title initially planned for fiscal year 26, which would have ended in March. This has now been delayed to fiscal year 2027. This almost certainly is the Black Flag remake. It's the only game that, like, we have heard rumblings of that was slated for early 2026 that they've now pushed later. And those 7 games that have been delayed, I would almost guarantee you, are games like Hexe, probably the new Far Cry. I'm guessing a lot of the stuff they were doing with like Division has been delayed. I think all of that stuff has been shifted back. So it's possible that now Black Flag remake is the new, like, sort of September, October game for Ubisoft, and that they push for Hexe to be either next spring or next fall, which also might be fine because they could avoid GTA 6. I mean, that's quite possible too, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. So that's almost certainly what this is. They even say it's believed, it has been believed for some time that the unannounced title in question is the long reported but not yet confirmed remake of Black Flag, especially given that the listing for Black Flag Resynced appeared on Peggy's website last month. So this seems like a relatively recent delay. In a statement posted on the official Prince of Persia account on X, the game's development team explained the decision to cancel. They said, quote, to the Prince of Persia community, we wanted to share this with you directly. And what they said here, the full post, we've made the difficult decision to stop development on Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake. We know this is deeply disappointing. The game carries enormous meaning for fans and for the teams who worked on it. While the project had real potential, we weren't able to reach the level of quality you deserve, and continuing would have required more time and investment than we could reasonably commit. And we didn't want to release something that fell short of what The Sands of Time represents. I'll circle back to this in a second. Prince of Persia as a universe and a legacy continues to matter deeply to us, and this decision does not mean we're stepping away from the franchise. Thank you for your passion, patience, and love for Prince of Persia, the Prince of Persia team. Now, I think, again, immediate memes aside, because there's the jokes about them canceling and doing all this, what has been like the message to Ubisoft for the last like year or two, really 5 years, but it was something I've said constantly. I just said it like a month ago in that video where I responded to the Attack on Titan crossover for AC Shadows. We just talked about this. Let me pull up that clip just so we can reference it. Attack on Titan, AC Shadows. Yeah, this madness. This thing. Oh my God, it's so crazy. This, what I said was, if you can do something well, don't do it at all, because it negatively reflects on your whole company. This was framed when people made videos and talked about this, was like, Ubisoft did it again. They somehow lowered the bar even further, right? Even though this was a free crossover event, it was something probably thrown together by a few people in like a week. Like it was not a big deal, you know, on paper, but it reflected really poorly on the company, on the multi-billion-dollar company, right? And it's something I've been struggling to like communicate to them for years. It's just like, guys, when you do the Iron Man armor that leaked, I don't think they ever launched it, but it leaked for AC Valhalla. When you do something like this crossover event, it reflects poorly on the whole company. Why do you think, like, do you really think that like CDPR is not getting approached for crossover events? I'm sure they are. I'm sure CDPR, they've got people coming over and like, hey, it's me, John Dorito. I'm a member of the family of Dorito, and we'd like to sponsor you to have Johnny Silverhand eating bags of Doritos in all of the cutscenes in Phantom Liberty. We'll offer you lots of Dorito money. I'm sure they're tempted, but that would reflect poorly, not just on that scene that it takes place in, but on the entire game and the entire company, right? You can't just do it and expect it to not reflect on everything else, right? And I think that that's a lesson that has been hard to learn, but I think they've, at least it seems, they're starting to get it. If the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake came out and was just like it just didn't play very well, it was kind of clunky because it's an old game and they didn't like totally rebuild it, I think it would have just been another example. Yeah, the real life John Dorito. Yeah, I think it would have been just another example of Ubisoft doing just enough, and it would further erode their credibility with players. And this is something I've been trying to tell them in videos for a long time. I've even told them this to members of the company to their face. Like, nowadays, especially for Ubisoft, people are looking for reasons to be upset and looking for reasons to not buy your game. Like, you are starting at a deficit, okay? Some companies, fair or not, some companies start with, some extra credibility. So people go into it with higher expectations, and so they're willing to go along with more stuff. Like, for example, if Hidetaka Miyazaki, the guy from Software, if he came out and said that he is going to do Bloodborne 2, if we draw just like a chart, okay, this is the middle. This is we'll say this is the balance of excitement or buying or whatever you want to call it. So the further over to the left you get, the less convinced you are. And when you're over here, you're like a hater and you're not buying it. You hate it, right? But the further over this way you are, you're a fan, you're ordering the collector's edition, you're hyping it up, telling all your friends to buy it, that type of thing. For Hidetaka Miyazaki, Bloodborne 2, you're starting like right here. You're starting here on the scale. And if it's announced, oh, it's going to be multiplayer, okay, maybe that bounces it lower. Oh, it's also going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. Oh, okay, maybe it goes over here. Also, we're going to charge $135 for it. Okay, we're starting to get over here. That's when the balance changes. So you may start here, but you could end up here once you become aware of all of the other information, right? It rebalances based on the information you have. For Ubisoft, and the other component of this that's important to understand is that it is much harder to go this way than it is to go this way. It's very easy for a clip to come out showcasing bad graphics or bad performance and for people to just run over this way. It's very easy. It happens quick. but then it's way harder to recover and push back the other way. So for Ubisoft, they largely start from, I think the average gamer probably here. If you look on Twitter, it's over here, right? But I think they're starting with a lot more pessimism and skepticism, dare I say cynicism, when it comes to their offerings. And it's because of years and years of mixed quality, you know, of underwhelming releases, or releases that are like fine but not great, you know, and that just slowly whittles down the excitement from players and their trust in you as a company, to the point where this is where you start. And because it's harder to recover and push back into the excitement phase than it is to fall and be bashed on, you're fighting an uphill battle effectively. And that's what Ubisoft needs and has needed for years to figure out, is how do you get back over here and start at least in the middle, where people are like, yeah, we'll see, I'll check it out. Instead of people seeing it, well, it's Ubisoft, so it's probably Ubi slop, right? Right? Saw somebody on Twitter say that, so now that's my whole thing. You know? How do you do that? I think how you do that is with your actions, with games that are really high quality, like games that people can't really argue with, that are really awesome. You know, there's still people that are trying to like rage bait over like CDPR with Cyberpunk. But when you play Phantom Liberty, it's like, okay, it's pretty good. You know, it's like, yeah, so Cyberpunk in 2020 was like terrible, but Phantom Liberty is pretty good. It's pretty awesome. It's kind of hard to argue with, you know, because you can see what they're actually capable of. They actually are like, yeah, you know, you doubt me? Play the game. Like, I'll show you. It's actually amazing. And I think that that's what they have to do. Like at this point, it's just purely about put up or shut up. Like it's purely prove it to the audience that you've got the quality chops. And this will trigger some. This will trigger some, but I'm going to say it anyway. Counts me. I don't care. It's just my opinion. Ubisoft has done a lot of work in the last year to try and climb that quality mountain and try to convince people and show people that they are actually capable of high quality work. And they've shown that. For example, the Switch 2 ports that they've done for AC Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws are quite impressive. Digital Foundry has talked about it. They've also, for example, shown with AC Shadows in general, that game is very well optimized for how crazy ambitious it is graphically. I personally think it's still like kind of dry and boring, but in terms of technical performance, it's very good. Steam Deck verified and everything, which in the age of our Lord 2026 is rare to have a PC port that's actually optimized. So they're working on it. And part of being fair is to pat them on the head when they do something good and slap them upside the head when they do something bad. We all love slapping them upside the head when they do something bad, but it's important to also give them props when they do something right. Otherwise, you're just being a hateful jerk. You know, otherwise you're being disingenuous and you're not actually concerned with the quality. You're just like trying to hate on it for the sake of hating on it, right? And you'll miss out on good games by doing that, right? If you're still trying to just like be a hater towards like Cyberpunk, you're gonna miss out on one of the best RPGs in recent memory, because as new information's come out, as they've worked on it, polished it up, fixed it up, did the DLC, it's now phenomenal, right? You just have to reevaluate and try to be as fair as you can. Give them a chance, slap them when they do something bad, verbally, of course, and also give them kudos when they do something good. And in this case, I've seen that they are trying seemingly to push for quality. They've delayed a bunch of games already, and then today they've revealed that they're delaying a bunch of other stuff even further, which is encouraging to me. was it Miyamoto who said, you know, a rushed game is almost never good, but a delayed one can eventually be good? I think that's where we're at with this. It is easy to see this and immediately freak out and just be like, here they go again, canceling stuff that would have been successful. My general rule of thumb is that games that are about to make a lot of money and be amazing don't tend to get delayed or canceled. Usually, because like, what's the one thing executives love more than anything? Money. And if they think they can get money, a lot of money from releasing this, they would have. The fact that they chose to cancel it, to me, would suggest, sometimes there's exceptions. Like I said, maybe with the Hex, they think they need more manpower over there. That's possible. But to me, it would suggest that they just thought that this maybe would be another one of those instances where it would have been just good enough, if that, and they just decided instead of releasing a C- or D+, let's just cancel it and focus on what we can do a B+, A- on, you know? So they've continued on. Let's see. In a media call, Ubisoft Chief Financial Officer Frederic Duguay explained the decision to cancel 6 games and delay a further 7. Quote, as part of the finalization of the reorganization, we went through a review of projects across December and January, and with the current market evolution in mind, which is persistently more selective, you've seen the last quarter showing a never seen before level of competition. So competition and selection is here to stay. This I find so revealing. Again, it's kind of like a no duh, but I think for them it's an actual revelation that the crazy levels of competition we are seeing. For Ubisoft, what does that mean? Competition means our game is not the only pig in the show. You know, our game is not the only one available in October, and people are bored, so they'll just buy it to give it a shot. That's how it kind of used to be. It used to be that, what am I going to play this fall? Ubisoft's got something. Let's put that out, you know, because there were only a couple of like real candidate games. Nowadays, if you want to pass on AC Shadows, there's 5 other AAA, dare I say, quadruple A games for you to pick from, right? And that's true of every other brand as well. If you're not feeling Monster Hunter Wilds, you can pop over, play KCD 2. You know, there's tons of AAA options for you out there. And I think they've realized that that's not going anywhere. And it is, in fact, the case that if they don't compete when it comes to quality, they'll just get trampled over. And this is what's going to become even more clear as Chinese developers start to come over and compete. One of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit is how, where did I put the tweet? Crimson Desert just went gold. Crimson Desert, I think, when it comes to open world adventure gaming, I think they're about to, like, they're about to really show Ubisoft how it's done. You know, I think they really are. Because they can put these games out faster. They can put these games out like way more efficiently, cheaper. Development in Eastern markets is way cheaper. They're in Korea, but I think you're going to see it from Chinese developers, Korean developers, Japanese developers. A lot of those companies that used to just do live service stuff, I think they're going to start experimenting with more traditional console releases, and it's going to be tough to compete for some of these big companies. It's going to be really tough, I swear. And I think Ubisoft sees that writing on the wall as well, because I don't think they can compete in terms of pricing and in terms of speed and efficiency. So they've got to come out and just focus on quality. And that's something they haven't done before, or haven't done for a long time, right? So I find this statement very telling. But when you are, he says, continuing on, the CFO says, quote, but when you are coming in number 1, number 2 with great content quality on a given segment, then you can have a very strong reward in terms of player reception and financial performance. So that's what really formed our pipeline review. So their number 1 concerns are having great content quality in a given segment. What segment do they say they're targeting? Open world adventure. That's what they're targeting. And that's what's changed with this review in the last 2 months, which I think helps. What exactly makes game dev in Asia cheaper? Is it peer pressure to work for less? I I don't know if peer pressure is the right term. Just the going price is way lower. From Software, I've shown it on stream before. From Software, like one of the most successful and prolific game developers in the industry, they raised their starting pay for new employees from 1,800 USD a month to 2,000 a month. And that was like a big story that they raised it by like 12 or 15%. But that's still only 2,000 US dollars a month to work at one of the biggest and successful game studios in the world that made Elden Ring and Dark Souls. And they're starting people at 2,000. I think it was 2,085 is roughly what it converted to US. Yes, there's things with like cost of living is different. You can bring up things like, oh, social benefits, government benefits for healthcare and stuff is different. That's all absolutely true. But when we're just talking about the cost of this employee's work versus somebody in Montreal or somebody in San Francisco, it starts to make sense, right? Why it's so much cheaper to do it in Japan or Korea or China. The other just cultural difference as well, in Western developers, crunch culture is seen as like super taboo. Like crunch culture is like super icky. We want to work from home 2 or 3 days out of the week, only come into the office once or twice a week. Do you think they give a crap about work-life balance in these Chinese development studios? I don't think so. I think they're getting 60, 70, 80 hours a week out of some of these studios, and that's just what it is. And if you don't like it, leave. We've got 1,000 more people who want to work here. So yeah, sure, leave if you don't like it. So, I mean, it's just hard to compete, when that's what you're dealing with. And a lot of those developers are amazingly talented in China, Korea, Japan. They're amazingly talented, and they'll work way longer hours for less money. And that's when it's just really tough to compete, right? Let's see. So I think that this is an important aspect to just bear in mind. The thing they keep reiterating is, and they are showing it through their actions, they are delaying, canceling, and reorganizing based on pursuing quality in one specific market segment, which is open world adventure. That to me sounds like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. So they are doubling and tripling down on trying to get quality first and foremost. That's their goal. Bubbles, thank you. I'll let it read it out for a second.
At Bubbleslew donated £9.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
These games have been in development for years. Trends change very quickly and it might be behind or late in the trend, so they see it might be better for them to cancel it during development.
Yeah, well,
loudly crying.
Yeah, loudly crying. Emote. I do think that there is an aspect of this where a lot of the stuff that they seem to be canceling right now and delaying and restructuring is specifically stuff that Mark greenlit in the Assassin's Creed division and other games in other IP like Tom Clancy that were greenlit in this same era of like 2021, 2022, in that period when Ubisoft stock started to really start to tank. And I think it's just because they see pretty clearly, for one, and this is the thing about like being a publicly traded company, at the end of the day, the investors think what the investors think. They have voted with their wallets 1,000 times over the last 5 years that they do not like the direction that Ubisoft is going. So if it's another one of those no duh kind of revelations. But if you are headed down one path, let's say you reach a fork in the road, okay? And one fork you choose to go down. You start walking down, but it just steadily drops further and further towards a lava pit of actual doom and despair. And you keep looking back, and you're looking back at the other path that you could have taken, and you see that it goes up and up, and you can like smell flowers, and you could have sworn there's a bakery up there. There might even be a crepe shop. It smells wonderful, but down here is lava, and you're gonna die if you keep walking. It doesn't take a genius to think, maybe I should go back and take that other path. Maybe I should do the opposite of what I'm doing now. That seems to be the revelation they've had. Okay. That what we're doing is causing us to slowly descend into the depths of hell financially. So maybe we should try the opposite. Stop pushing for volume and quantity and start pushing instead for quality first and foremost. I think transparently, this also means that there's going to be major restructurings and layoffs because Ubisoft, they don't have 20,000 employees anymore, but they still have well over 15,000. I think it's over 17,000, I think. I don't think we know currently the exact number, but they have a lot of employees for only having a handful of financially viable IP and projects. So I think it's quite likely that they're going to restructure further and continue to double down and focus on this. But remember I mentioned the creative houses thing that they offered to Marc-Alexis Cotier that we didn't know about before? Well, he's about to get to that. So, quote, this is the CFO talking still. We enhanced the quality criteria to select what we think should be the best projects to put the creative houses in the best conditions to succeed in that market, with the idea that we must refocus our resources on the strongest potential games for the long term. Effectively, why are we spending all this time and money on stuff that's probably going to flop when we have a few games that we think are going to hit it out of the park? We should, instead of having like, how can I depict this? Instead of having like, instead of having a bunch of games that, you know, maybe are like 2 out of 10. This one's like a 5 out of 10. This one's like a 5 out of 10. This is like a 4 out of 10. And then occasionally you get like a 7 out of 10. And then maybe occasionally, if you're really lucky, you get an 8 out of 10, right? Instead of doing that, they want to refocus and instead get rid of all those 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s and have a few that are like 9 out of 10s and maybe an 8.5 out of 10. And then a 9.5 out of 10. That's what they're doing. And you might think, how does that work? How can you fund a company based on that? Allow me to point to a couple of big examples that are finding much more success right now. CDPR, even like a Rockstar, is a great example of a company that's able to do this. Dare I say a Bethesda Game Studios. Like, these are companies that release fewer games than Ubisoft. They might even release only one every few years, like with CDPR or Rockstar. But they are valued in the billions as companies because they have one game that pops off. It's so good that people continue playing it for years and years on end. They buy it multiple times because they just want to support it because it's so good and because they want to play it on the go, on the Steam Deck or on the Switch or whatever. And so they constantly go back to it time and time again. Now, in the case of BGS, they also built in like in-game stores and microtransactions and stuff, which those other companies haven't done. At least, well, Rockstar has with GTA Online, but with something like Red Dead 2, I think they're up to like 70 million copies. 70 million copies sold of that game. It's like between 60 and 70. It's insane, dude. It's insane the amount of money that one game has brought in because it's so good. And so, yeah, you can put out, at least historically, you could put out 3 out of 10, you know, a D minus, a C plus, a D plus, maybe a B minus. You know, you put out these games of varying qualities and they'll sell and you'll be fine. But what Ubisoft's seen in the last few years is that people are so picky and the industry is so competitive that you can't do that anymore. People just literally won't buy the 6 out of 10. They used to buy it, but just not as much as the 10 out of 10. But now they just don't buy it. And so they have to change and they have to readjust. And that seems to be what they're doing. Double down on the stuff that they think can pop off and don't bother with the stuff that they think is like, right? He continues, CFO speaking again. So, quote, that's really the criteria, the approach that we followed to either stop some games. And in there are 3 new IPs that we stopped in the context where, yes, it's more difficult in this market to create new IPs than before, or to give additional time for projects that we think have great potential, but we need to make sure they come with exceptional quality. Again, doubling down on that point that it's all about quality now. Quote, so that's really the approach and the mindset that we've been following. Coming back to new IPs, we still have 4 new IPs in development, including March of Giants, which we just acquired. So we still believe that there are 4 innovative new IPs that we can bring to market with a great level of success. Quote, or going on, when it was announced in September of 2020, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake had been in development for 2.5 years at Indian studios Ubisoft Pune maybe and Ubisoft Mumbai, and it was planned for release in January of 2021, but the reaction was so negative that they basically went Control-Z, never mind, and walked it back. Thank you, Gakachi, for the sub with Prime. Can I get 3 booms? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, see, you got 4. You got 4. You're welcome. So they continue on. The remake was then given a 2026 release window, with Ubisoft stating in 2024 that its Toronto studio, Far Cry 5 and Watch Dogs Legion, had come on board to collaborate with Ubisoft Montreal on the project. Last year, it clarified it was set to release by the end of the current financial year, meaning before today's announcement, players were expecting it to release sometime before March of 2026. Again, this makes me think that it really was slated for release in March or February, or it was rumored that it could even potentially be coming on the 16th of January. There were leaks suggesting that it was going to drop on that day, and it just never happened. What I really think happened, this is I don't have any insider knowledge. Okay. I don't think I have any, like, I didn't talk to anybody behind the scenes. This is just my guess. Okay. I think what happened is that Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake was probably supposed to release on January 16th. I think it probably was supposed to release this month. I think also the Black Flag Remake was supposed to release probably next month or March. I mean, probably next month if we're being honest, but I think that sometime in the next handful of weeks. And then they did this internal review. They found that there's going to be stuff where you can poke holes in it. And they decided just delay it, give it time. And for Prince of Persia, just cancel it, because there's no storyline where this is like good for us.
Where's Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Who freaking knows, dude? I wouldn't be surprised if that's one we find out was like canceled and just moved on. Fun fact about that, I believe it was the chief technical officer at Sandfall Interactive. It's one of the like OGs behind Clair Obscur Expedition 33. He worked at Ubisoft, was it Montpellier, which is the studio that did a bunch of work on Beyond Good and Evil 2. So he actually worked on that for a while before going over and working on Expedition 33. Small world, right? Small world. Jade canceled. They said that they canceled a mobile game. For them to announce that they canceled Jade, I don't think would make sense, because that's being developed by Tencent. It's possible that they could also announce that they delayed that as part of this announcement. Jade might be canceled for all we know, but that is being developed by somebody else. So I'm not sure if it would fit in the context of this discussion when they are talking about games they are developing and they are canceling, but it's possible. Could be the Division mobile game. It could be, or let's be completely honest, it could be some like random crap that you've never heard of that would have flopped. And it's like, it was going to be a Just Dance phone game where you hold your phone and dance and you earn points. Like something stupid like that. You just never know. You never know. So thank you again for the 10. That's very generous. So I think that, yes, the memes write themselves, the jokes write themselves. Ubisoft canceling something that they had previously announced that was supposed to launch any minute now. But what seems clear to me, like, they are saying the right things. They are saying that they are refocusing on what players want, which is open world adventure games from Ubisoft. That's what they historically have been good at. It's been a while since they released a really, really good one, but that's historically what they've been good at. So they're not saying we're refocusing on RPGs. They're not saying we're refocusing on free to play live service. They're saying open world adventure gaming. That's our focus, and that's what a lot of AC fans and Far Cry fans have wanted to hear. They also are showing and like delaying stuff to give it more time in the oven, which I think is always a good thing, especially with how often games are rushed nowadays. So I think that's good. And then they also are canceling certain projects which they don't think meet quality standards, seemingly to free up people to then go and work on other things that they think have higher potential, that they can get up to higher quality standards. Again, all of this stuff on paper is pointing in the right direction and sounds good. But at the end of the day, it comes down to actions. It comes down to like the actual quality of the product. Because all of this is just talk and bluster. We've heard every company on earth say, we're focused on quality. And then they release some garbage, right? So like it's important for them to actually deliver on it. But seeing and hearing that they are delaying, giving teams time, they are restructuring things is, I think, a good sign, a good thing. As for the creative houses that they are doing, this is something that they shared. They said that they are revealing, this is their broader structure, okay? So they have Vantage Studios, Creative House 2, 3, 4, and 5.
6,402 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Hey Luke, have you seen White Light's video? You don't hate remasters enough? I think it would be an interesting video to react to at some point.
I think somebody submitted it. I don't think we watched it, but it sounds familiar. Maybe you submitted it on the Discord. But yeah, that could be very interesting. That could be very interesting if we haven't looked at it already. Because yeah, that does sound familiar. I'll pull it up in another tab. Thank you for the suggestion. Appreciate you. Thank you. Cancel me. I don't care. I want unlocked FPS updates. I don't care. Well, guess what? They just did that for Far Cry, didn't they? I think they did. So as for, again, I keep going back to this because I keep thinking they're about to reveal it and talk about it. But going back to this again, they offered Mark a position as lead of a creative house. What are these creative houses? It's this. So they have Vantage Studios. This is the one that's previously been announced and revealed that owns and runs Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow. Okay. This is the one Tencent owns 25% of. Okay. They then have Creative House 2, 3, 4, and 5. They also label it as being part of a creative network of studios partnering with all creative houses to provide best-in-class production capacity, provide shared, standardized, scalable services that enable the brands and project teams to focus on their core missions. So things like tech and infrastructure, the engine work, and stuff like that. But each of the creative houses are largely independent, which this is something Ubisoft has tried to do over the last probably 7 to 8 years, is they've tried to build this like global network of studios that can all kind of work together on stuff. That was done because they thought and expected that it would increase their capacity and like production output. It seems to have not done that. And I think it's probably because it clogged stuff up, because it's tough to be waiting to hear back from this studio across the ocean when they get to work in 7 hours. So you got to wait to hear what they say before you do this thing. So it just can kind of clog stuff up. So instead, what they're doing is they're going with the creative houses that have more independence. They say that Creative House number 2 will be dedicated to, quote, competitive and cooperative shooter experiences, including The Division, Ghost Recon, and Splinter Cell. Creative House number 3, which will operate a roster of select sharp live services such as For Honor, The Crew, Riders Republic, Brawlhalla, and Skull and Bones. Creative House 4, which will focus on fantasy worlds and narrative driven experiences and universes like Anno, Might and Magic, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil. And Creative House number 5, which Ubisoft says is aimed at, quote, reclaiming our position in casual and family-friendly games in brands like Just Dance, Uno, and Hasbro. But this allows them to build out the studios specifically for what they are specialized within. And this also is a pretty massive shift in approach, because historically, like, I've been to some of Ubisoft's big studios. Like I've been to the Quebec office last year for AC Shadows. That is a massive building with hundreds and hundreds of employees. Montreal has like something crazy, like 2,000 or 3,000 people working in it. It's massive. They have people from Just Dance, people from For Honor, people from Assassin's Creed, people from like, they have people from all these different projects in the one building, in the one space. And it sounds to me like they are trying to refocus. So like Montreal becomes the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry hub, and Rainbow, I think, is also made there. So that's what they do there in one building. Like, I think that actually what's fascinating is in the wake of COVID, a lot of companies started trying to go global. They started trying to go with like work from home, do everything through Zoom calls. And I think we've seen like production output from a lot of companies drop down and like plummet. And I think that a lot of these companies are trying to refocus on like working in the studio and in person more. It's what Rockstar's been doing. It's how they've also combated like leaks and things, because when you're in the office, they can have a tighter control on it. But I think that might be part of what they're trying to do here. Yeah, they recently acquired MOBA March of Giants, which is will be assigned to a creative house at a later stage. Each of the creative houses will have its own leadership and end-to-end responsibility for its portfolio, from development to publishing and financial accountability, which Ubisoft hopes will make it better, faster decisions and lead to more hit games. The creative houses will be supported by a creative network team, which will share studio expertise and provide co-development support, as well as core services group, which will focus on technology, QA, localization, business planning, and more. Specific development studios will be assigned to each creative house, Ubisoft said, while some will be assigned to the creative network team and work with multiple houses. As part of the changes, staff will be expected to return to the office 5 days a week. What did I tell you? With an allowance for some work from home days. This is actually something I've seen when I've done a lot of these studio tours in the last like 12 months. A lot of them, they have like Tuesdays and Thursdays. Everyone except like the business managers are working from home. So they have like press events on those days because nobody's in the office. And so you don't have to worry about like cover up your monitors so they can't see what you're working on, but like they just are not in the office. But now they are pushing, no, you're going to be in the office. You're going to work in the office 5 days a week. We'll do some work from home if you got like kids and stuff, but you're going to work in the office. Eve said, on the one hand, the AAA industry has become persistently more selective and competitive, with rising development costs and greater challenges in creating brands. On the other hand, exceptional AAA games, when successful, have more financial potential than ever. In this context, today we're announcing a major reset built to create the conditions for a return to sustainable growth over time. Quote, we are transforming Ubisoft's operating model to produce exceptional quality games on the two core pillars of our strategy: open world adventure games and games as a service native experiences. At the center of this transformation are our creative houses, integrated business units now combining production and publishing, and therefore unifying the gamer relationship. Each one is built around a clear genre and brand focus, with full responsibility and financial ownership, led by dedicated leadership teams. It is a radical move, relying on a more decentralized creative organization with faster decision-making and best-in-class cross-functional core services supporting and serving each creative house. To put the creative houses in the best conditions to succeed, we decided to refocus our portfolio with meaningfully revised 3-year roadmap and accelerate our cost reduction initiatives to right-size the organization. We will discontinue several projects currently in development and provide additional time to certain games to ensure enhanced quality and maximize long-term revenue or value. We will also selectively close several studios and continue restructurings throughout the group. While these decisions are difficult, they are necessary for us to build a more focused, efficient, and sustainable organization over the long term. Taken together, these measures mark a decisive turning point for Ubisoft and reflect our determination to confront challenges head-on to reshape the group for the long term. The portfolio refocus will have significant impact on the group's short-term financial trajectory, particularly in fiscal years 2026 and 27, but this result will strengthen the group and enable it to renew with sustainable growth and robust cash generation. Ubisoft is entering a new phase, one designed to reclaim creative leadership and build value for players and stakeholders over the long term. It's so interesting. This description of taking and decentralizing decision-making for individual development houses, that sounds to me shockingly similar to what CDPR has been doing with their studios. As you know, they just opened the CD Projekt Red Boston, and they're like building that out, and it's the North American team that's going to be largely independent that is working on Cyberpunk's sequel. And that is part of their goal, is to have like that team. That's what they do. They don't have to wait for the people in Poland to tell them what to do. Like, they are working on that. They have some autonomy and they can be dynamic with it. And it's how they kind of respond to the growing organization, which has grown to thousands and thousands of people, is to shrink down the team and give them autonomy and independence so that they can do what they need to do. Can work out great if they know what they're doing. If your independent team that's smaller and more dynamic ends up taking it in the wrong direction, they can get pretty deep down the wrong direction much, much faster. So it's important who you put in charge. But again, this sounds to me like a pretty, as they said, radical overhaul. But you know what they say, when a company, or really anybody, is viciously sick, is terribly ill, sometimes or violently ill, you need a violent doctor. And that seems to be what they are trying to do here. I want to pull up the actual where's the actual like stock I want. That's fine. So I think that this is going to be very, very interesting to see. Now, the ADRs for Ubisoft, of course, are trading as you'd kind of expect. Not great, because they're saying that that last sentence there, this one, particularly in fiscal years 26 and 27, it'll significantly impact our short-term trajectory over the next 2 financial years. Translation, our numbers will not be great this year and next year. Just be ready for that. And so you'd expect the stock to get hit pretty hard, and it's been hit pretty hard. This is the ADR. I want the actual Ubisoft stock France. I want the actual like French one. Yeah, see, this is interesting. So the ADRs are plummeting, but I think the market close is affecting this, because right now it's after market close. So we'll see. We'll check on it like in a day or two, see what that's looking like. But because like the ADRs are traded, they're anchored to the real stock. But if you look like, at the ADR, they're trading, because the market's open right now on the ADRs versus the market for the actual stock in France, where the market's currently closed. So we'll see how this stock balances out, the real stock, not the ADRs, like tomorrow and the day after. We'll see where it balances out to, but it's going to be interesting. So I think that they are going to, it's a good thing they have Tencent to bankroll things. Let's be real, because it sounds like they're delaying a lot of stuff, canceling a lot of stuff that was probably going to give them cash. And they're doing it because they hope in a year or two, they can just start to really rebound and win back confidence. But in the short term, it means that a lot of these games we thought were coming soon are probably not coming soon or at all. So the Prince of Persia game is canceled. We're not going to see that. The Black Flag remake has been delayed till later this year. I doubt that it's going to end up coming out next year. I think it's probably now their fall game, and it makes me think that they might have pushed Hexe to be the spring release, or even to next fall, which would be crazy if they gave it like an extra year of work. But it makes me think that everything's being shifted forward, which I think that's better than rushing it, frankly. Like, I get it. I think that's fine. I think it's probably good in the long term, but it's frustrating. I do think in a year or two, though, we will start to see the benefits of the big delays and giving studios a lot more time. And then also taking Paris and like the corpo team out of decision making. That to me, I think is going to really, really help, because that seems to be what upset Mark so much, was that he had this overarching control over a bunch of this stuff, and then that was taken away, and so he wanted out. But when they said that he was going to be offered or like control of one of the creative houses, it makes me think that they were offering him creative control of a creative house other than Vantage. So they were offering him creative control of like maybe this one, like Anno, Mighty Magic, or Might and Magic, Rayman, Prince of Persia, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like they were taking him off of Assassin's Creed, is what it sounds like to me, and that's what made him quit, because he was like, no, that's all I really want to do. So they're trying a lot, they're overhauling a lot. We'll see how it works. It's probably still like a year or two before you see the effects of this. It's still possible that they're just delaying stuff to fill it with more NFTs and stuff. That's possible. Never doubt their abilities, but I think there's potential with these announcements that they actually are finally listening to some of the major criticisms, which is that if they go for volume and quantity over quality, they shouldn't be surprised when people are not that interested in the games, because they're kind of blah. If you want players nowadays, you just got to put out the best game in the market for the month. Like that, it really is that simple. It's not necessarily just about IP. It's not whether you have the Star Wars license or the Assassin's Creed license. You just have to put out a good game that people like and talk up. That's the big thing. What's up with Ubisoft? Years and years of mismanagement that they are now trying to untangle, and we'll see if they can. See if they can do that. I bet the devs are stoked on this while the market is sad. Yes and no. I think the devs are stoked to have more independence, because now this restructuring means they don't have to listen to Paris. They don't have to listen to the corporate team as much. So if you're working in Montreal on Assassin's Creed, you now don't have to wait to hear what Paris thinks when they do a review of it every few weeks. You can just make the game you want to make. So I think they're excited about that. The downside is that now they're going back into the office 5 days a week, which I'm sure they're not too thrilled. I too do not listen to Paris. It's generally healthy that way. That's just generally a good idea, frankly. I saw one of those like unhinged, it's like that Twitter account. It's like crazy Steam reviews or something. And it was just a review of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. He had like 200 hours in the game, and it's do not recommend. Thumbs down. Why did he like it? He said, this game is woke propaganda. It tries to convince the player that the French are people. I was like, actually? I mean, frankly, I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. It's okay if you're French. We love you. We just poke fun of you, little jazzing, Johnny the Mighty, thank you.
Johnny the Mighty donated 74 United Arab Emirates dirhams and 99 fils through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Did you see Crimson Desert Collector's Edition? It's one of the best collector's edition I ever seen.
Yeah, this one. It's going to be good when the website is in Korean. Look at this. Give me the full picture. It's going to make me go to a store. North America. It's currently unavailable. Damn it. But this is it. So they have the full box, the big ass statue, photo cards. They've got the fabric map. Yeah, I like that more than the paper ones they print. Patches. That's cool. The brooch. If you want a brooch, a letter from the developer, and then the steelbook with game disc. Actually has the game. Imagine that. The statue is pretty baller. What's the size? 17 by 11 by 10. That's big. Most of these back here cap out at like 12 inches because that's what's standard for a shelf. So like I think Ellie is 12 inches. So this one would not fit on the shelf. It would be like that tall. So it's, I mean, that's a big ass statue, dude. It's big. I'd like to see some closer up photos of it. They'll probably they're probably going to do an unboxing or something of it relatively soon, but yeah, that's one of the better ones. I wonder why it's unavailable. That's weird. But yeah, that one looks pretty baller. This one, they also have a couple of other things listed on the website. Like, oh, they're in-game items. I bet these are in-game items and skins. Okay. I thought it actually came with like a gold lantern. I was like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I would personally like to see closer up photos, but I'm sure they're going to get those once they actually get the shipments of them. Because I do think that looks pretty baller. I also, again, cancel me. I don't care. I don't care. Just my opinion. I do think the statue for the Marathon collector's edition is like one of the coolest I've seen in a minute. They actually did the refracted water in the statue with resin. A hexagonal box. Like, this is crazy work, dude. To have an actual statue with resin for the water, like, I mean, I've not seen something like that. I've seen that in like custom Warhammer, like, what do they call those? Dioramas, maybe? Is that maybe what you call it? I've seen this done with those, but not in a mass-produced freaking statue for a collector's edition. Like, that, it's pretty crazy. Like, I'm gonna try to find it real quick. I should be able to find it quick. Titan Warhammer diorama. Is this it? This might be it. Look at this.
Gets everywhere and it sticks to the clothes like
This is Squidmar miniatures.
it's turning out great. Just have
that made your kill.
Show me the sizzle reel.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the final grand reveal.
They sound sweet. Water splashing and stuff. Oh, dude, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's pretty baller. So yeah, there's a lot of good collector's editions this year. I gotta give them credit. Like, it's pretty insane. Frankly, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I like it. Hold on. One of you guys put in chat something. I have to fact check it real quick. I gotta make sure that's real before I talk about it. Let's see. Also unrelated, I'm super envious of how your room looks like it's a super nerd's heaven. Nice seeing all the stuff on the shelves. Thank you, Bubbles. And yeah, it's just been a slow accumulation of stuff. I have to actually now be like really selective with what gets put in here, because even now there's a few statues. I won't say who. But there's a few statues I probably am gonna retire and set aside. You know, it's gonna be okay. Where did this? I thought there would be like a breaking news story, but I don't see it, so I'm not sure if that's real or not. But thank you for that one, and thank you, Johnny, again for that very generous super chat. Cool Pandas, thank you for the 5. You should check out the Only Fangs Guild in Hardcore WoW. I'm crossing my fingers that you decide to join and make some content with them next season. Is that the thing from Pirate Software? Is that where that went down? I don't know like anything about World of Warcraft. I've like tried to get into it a few times, but I've just never really got into it. But the name sounds familiar. That is what it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar. I would be no help. Still maybe more help than Pirate. I wouldn't run away. I would just die, you know, but maybe I'd still be more helpful. Where is it? Let me see. Oh, I see. Doomwalker with the 2. Thank you for that. Ubisoft claims AC Shadows made 567 million, up 39%. Let's see. This, I think, is what you're referring to, is this story. This is from a few months ago. But yeah, they revealed that AC Shadows generated, where is it? Yeah, specifically the company generated 567 million in net bookings player spending for July through September, above its guidance, up 39% year on year. Ubisoft said its AC franchise, including Shadows, was overperforming and generated 211 million session days, 35% higher than the last 2 years average. It didn't provide specific sales figures for Shadows. It said this week's update to 2023's AC Mirage had increased that title's lifetime player count past 10 million players, among other things like Rainbow Six numbers and all that. So to be clear, 567 not from Shadows, but the company as a whole. But I think that's what you're referring to. But that's old news. That's like from 2 months ago. Christopher, thank you for the 5. If there was an award for the most incompetent studio of all time, Ubisoft would win most years. Meanwhile, Capcom keeps cranking out remakes and sequels. I would say, this is going to come as no shock to anybody at all. Say it before I do. What company does Luke think is more incompetent? Which company? Yeah, there you go. Yep, you got it. You got it. There's Ubisoft. They are the masters of, yeah, everybody's immediately like, yeah, we know. There is not really another example, as much as we meme on Ubisoft, that will break their major game, one of the biggest games they've ever put out. They will break it and not fix it for 19 months. That's what BGS did with Fallout. Okay. Like it's unconscionable. Okay. The example I gave was when AC Valhalla had that bug back when it dropped. Basically, long story short, right before Christmas, the game had a bug introduced where every time you would log in and like load a save file, Ivor would be plaster drunk. For some reason, when you loaded, the game would just start you at max drunkenness. So it would wear off after 60 seconds or whatever. But every time you loaded into the game, you'd be horribly drunk. And they were like, oh no, we made this bug. We broke the game a little bit. I mean, it's not a big deal, but like we introduced this bug. Just like BGS introduced a bug into a previously fine performing game, but they introduced a bug. Ubisoft, when they got back from Christmas vacation and all the employees were back in the office, they fixed it. So it was like first week of January. So it was in the game for like 2-3 weeks, I think. It wasn't crazy. BGS completely broke Fallout 4 to the point where VATS didn't work. It would be like if in AC Valhalla they broke it and made it so swords didn't do damage anymore. I mean, it's like a core gameplay mechanic that doesn't work anymore. And it took them over 1.5 years to fix it. And you know how they fixed it? They literally just cut out the code that they added in with the update. They just undid it. Like, again, you don't have to like Ubisoft, but BGS is on another level when it comes to just, what are you even doing? You know, like, I don't understand how that even happens and how it takes you 1.5 years to fix it in like your biggest freaking franchise. Like, it's unbelievable to me, but it's real. It's reality. It's just utterly baffling. Yeah. I'm like 85% sure that the drunk bug was a holiday joke by the devs, harmless fun, unlike the VAT situation. It might have been, because it's like a relatively small, minor thing. It was like laughed at, people were joking. It wasn't like a big deal. But like with BGS, they will literally break the game and break the game for modders. Like their games are so dependent on the modding community for long-term sustainability. And all those mods broke when they did that update, and they didn't bother trying to fix it for 1.5 years. And when they did try to fix it, they didn't fix it. They just undid what they did. So they might as well have just never done the update at all. It's just, the whole thing is ridiculous. Like, again, you don't have to like Ubisoft, but I've never heard somebody try to argue even that like, that's actually totally fine. Like, it's like, yeah, Ubisoft will drop unfinished games just like BGS does. Don't get me wrong, they definitely do. But even then, like Avatar, they've worked on overhauling the crap out of that. Avatar is really impressive now. Star Wars Outlaws also totally overhauled. A lot of the specific gripes and complaints I had in my review, they have specifically addressed and changed and overhauled. Like they worked their butt off to try and like revitalize those games. And in the time that they've overhauled those two big AAA games, BGS still didn't update Fallout in that time period to undo their next gen update. Like that's just, it's on another planet. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, we meme on Ubisoft a lot, but bro, Todd can't be beat. Todd's on another level. Sure is. Sure is, dude. Sure is. Sure is. Okay, we should talk about another one. Speaking of being on another level. You want to do this? Thoughts on Code Vein 2? Any rumors on quality? Thinking about pre-order? I'm going to be honest. Divine, I know nothing about it. I'm not going to BS you and pretend like I know something about it. I don't know a damn thing about it. So I'm unfortunately not the one to ask. I don't have anything to add to that. I just don't know anything about it. But yeah. I'd go check it out. Watch videos and breakdowns on it. I just don't know anything about it. But thank you for the 5. I wish I had more to say. I don't know. I didn't know. Let me see. Oh yeah, Taylor, again, thank you for the 10 about the remasters video. Ubisoft deserves credit for their 60 FPS updates to their old games. Yeah, I think they do. I mean, it's cool to see that they're going back and giving those games some love. It's always cool to see companies do that. Thank you, Bubbles, again for the 10. Again, that was about the trend chasing thing that Ubisoft has been doing. They definitely do that. Mellow MP4, thank you for that membership. Christopher, thank you for the membership. I'm calling out Ubisoft on their BS. How are they struggling to remake Sands of Time? Meanwhile, Capcom released 3 remakes in 4 to 5 years. I think the problem is that they started it with one studio in India and it was bad. And so they spent a bunch of money on it there. And then they brought it over to Montreal and then had Toronto helping on it too. And it still was like probably going to be fine, but it wasn't going to pay for itself. And so instead of like marketing it and doing all this, they just decided, let's just stop, drop it. The team will go over, help with Hexe, and we'll just get that game out the door. I think that's probably what it is. Because love it or hate it, Ubisoft is just in a very different position than Capcom is. Capcom can put it out, and if it does 1 million copies, great. If it does 800,000 copies, great. 500,000, great. Cool. Easy money. But for Ubisoft right now, I think they got to get some home run hits. Brushborn Studio, thank you for the 2. I would bet that 6th game is Beyond Good and Evil 2. It very well could have been, but the fact that they specifically said one of the creative houses is for Beyond Good and Evil makes me think it probably isn't. I think they might actually have that. Based on my understanding of what they're doing with Beyond Good and Evil 2, I think it's gonna like unironically make it like it might actually end up trying to compete vaguely with like Starfield. Do you guys remember I think it was 2017? I think, yeah. Again, talking about competence, okay? You're talking about competence. Do you guys remember the Beyond Good and Evil 2 E3 2017 demo? This is now 9 years ago, almost a decade. But this tech demo that they showed running in real time was so impressive that like the data streaming tech, I mean, BGS could never. Like when you think of like Starfield, what they were doing there, watch what they do. So they have all this data streaming for like full cities and everything. This is an early in-engine demo for the game that doesn't exist. But he will hop in his ship in a second and then he's going to start to fly around. So they're showing this in real time actually running, and he's just going to zoom out to show that they're simulating the whole planet with weather. And that if he zooms out even further, you can see that planet is orbiting around the sun and it has another planet orbiting next to it. And look how seamlessly he's just like scrolling back to unzoom. Like it's crazy. It's outrageous. Now they still don't have a game, but this tech in 2017 was like this which is very, very impressive. And then he's going to show kind of what flying around the planet would look like. It's possible that part of the reason that they haven't given up on this game is because they think that this tech is impressive enough that you could get a like adventure game built out of it, where you have multiple planets that you can fly around in. And honestly, like this tech, I think this is what people were hoping for from like a Starfield. I think they were hoping for something like this. And the fact that they had this running, granted a little janky with like some pop-in, but they had this running in 2017. It's just ridiculous. Like the level of what's happening under the hood to stream this much data is unbelievable. It's so impressive. Again, granted, no game yet. That's a big piece of the puzzle. Big piece of the puzzle, but it's still very, very impressive. So I think seeing this tech and imagining what you could do with it, I can understand why they don't want to give up on the project and they want to actually like get it across the finish line, you know? It's pretty impressive. So in-house Star Citizen, basically, yeah, that seems to be what they are working on, and why they don't want to give up on it. Which honestly, if you have that tech, I get it. I get it, frankly. Do you think Splinter Cell is canceled as well? I'm guessing something for Splinter Cell is canceled. So I'm guessing that it's like one of the mobile games is canceled, or I'm guessing it might be maybe they canceled the like one of the live service spin-offs. Like they might cancel one of those things. But as for like the old school one they were working on, who knows? Who knows? Real quick, Dev of the Dev, thank you for the 5 KCD2 Ultimate Critique, and I will give you my soul, Luke. Dude, I would love to go back through and do like another hardcore run. I mean, twist my arm. I would love to do that. RPG, thank you for the 2. Thank you for the 2. Ubisoft, ... smiley face. Holy Heretic, thank you for the 5. Same can be said for Nintendo. What is Nintendo doing? What games are there to look forward to? Dusk Bloods. Brand new From Software exclusive. Might be great. Might just be Night Rain 2. Who knows? Who knows? We'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah. No first party. They're working on it. I'm sure they'll have like some Zelda something soon. Let's see. When do you... Oh, okay. I read that one. I read that one. Okay, we're caught up there. We're caught up. Okay. No character creator in Crimson Desert is insane. Is it? I don't know. I don't think they ever said that you're going to be playing anybody other than what's his name? Cliff? Is it Cliff? I think it's Cliff. I think. Let's talk about this though. Oh yeah, just in case you missed it, yes, they have gone gold. You want to know something crazy? My understanding, so when I interviewed Will, who's actually right here, when I interviewed Will for the New Game Plus showcase, okay? Really cool guy. He mentioned, because I was wondering, with Crimson Desert, do they have like the cross teams? Because if you don't know, Crimson Desert is from Pearl Abyss. Pearl Abyss, they make Black Desert Online, a big MMO. So I asked him, like, is it the same team that's working on? Are they doing two things? Are they sharing expertise? Is it some people are working over here one day and then they're working over here on the other? And he said, no, it is 2 dedicated teams. So the team working on Crimson Desert is a different team. I think he said they have their own floor on like in the building, that is separate from the floor for Black Desert Online. So like this, my understanding is the team just for Crimson Desert. Like, I don't know how many, is this a time to ask like Grok to count? Is that something it can do? I don't actually know. Count how many people are in the picture. I'm going to also ask ChatGPT because I trust it more. Is that bad? Is that bad? I find it more likely that it's going to get it right. Copy image. But I'm wondering how many people are actually working on this. Okay, count how many people are in the picture. Let's see what they say. Let's see what they say. Okay, it's counting very, very hard. Analyzing. I could just count. I could count, but okay. Now it's gonna Google it. I swear to God, if it just gives me like a 15 paragraph sentence on random crap, I'm gonna be upset. Still analyzing. Bro, I could have counted it faster than this. The future's here, guys. I probably just like caused an entire lake to evaporate, the amount of processing power it's taking to count how many people are in this one picture. 128 people. Dude, there's more than 128 people in this picture. There's more than 128 people. And then ChatGPT gave up. Okay. There's more than 120 people. I don't know, man. A lot. Okay. Sacrifice that lake for nothing. Literally, dude. Literally. ChatGPT is better, right? Yeah, dude, I see 3 people in the picture. To be fair, I also see 3 people. I see a few more than that, but yeah. You know what I also noticed? This seems to be a very young studio. Very young. A lot of go-getters. A lot of go-getters. Like, there's obviously some managers, at least I would assume they're managers. Got the actual disc. That's great. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So props to them. They did it. They're going gold. And now we know, thanks to the power of AI, there are 3 people working on the game. So there you go. There you go. Yeah. I think that that it's going to be one to keep an eye on. I do think that going into it, expectations will be key. As I've told you guys, I'm expecting it's not going to be a story-based game. Don't go into this expecting like a lot of really intense dialogue. I don't think that's the kind of game it is. I've covered it a lot. I've talked to them about it a lot. I've played it. This is going to be a gameplay game. This is going to be a game for combat, for exploration, and for you to kind of fill in those world building gaps and like narrative gaps yourself. I would not expect, you know, really, really intense, like cyberpunk levels of writing. There is a story. There is a narrative. There is a bizarre mystery for the Sky Islands and that dimensional tear, basically. So there is a story there, but I'm just saying, don't go into this thinking that the priority was story, gameplay, graphics, whatever. I think the priority has been gameplay, graphics, story from there, which is not a bad thing inherently. Maybe this is I don't know if this is a hot take, genuinely. Maybe you guys could tell me. I don't think Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom have good stories at all. Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. Just my opinion. They barely have a story. I said it. Come at me. Story? What story? Careful. They'll cancel you too. I think they're great games. There's basically no story though. Elden Ring does have a story. But it's also like, let's be completely honest. I think 99% of people who played Elden Ring could not tell you what the hell that game is about. Okay. I think 99% of people, unless they watch a video explaining the lore, they don't have an idea of what the hell is going on. like I think there's world building, and I think maybe we have to be precise with terms here, but I think that there's world building, there is lore to be discovered, there's justifications for what's in the universe. It's about trees, man. Yeah, exactly. But I don't think, like, when I think of a story-based game or a game with a compelling narrative, I'm thinking of a game where there's like dialogue that's carrying the day, compelling characters, interactions between those characters, like the writing within The Witcher 3 or KCD 2 and 1, you know, where the story, the narrative is carrying you through the gameplay and through the world. In games like Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring, it's much more about the gameplay carrying you through the world. You know, it's just a switch, and they're both great. It's very rare to have a game that does both really, really well. But what I'm saying is that I think that Crimson Desert is going to be much more Breath of the Wild than it is The Witcher 3. And for a lot of people, that's going to be like, oh, thank God. But for others, they're going to be like, oh, okay, I just wasn't sure. But like, I don't think that this is a game that's trying to be narratively The Witcher 3. I think it's trying to take much more inspiration from like Breath of the Wild and to let you just go explore and get lost. I think that's the idea. But I'm excited for it. Every time I've seen something more about it, I'm just thoroughly impressed and like baffled that they've even got this thing running. I think it's one to keep an eye on. It's somebody said in chat, this is either going to disappoint a ton of people or surprise a ton of people. Yeah. I think if it can live up to the expectations, it will be a smashing success. The most common thing said about Crimson Desert specifically is that it's a game that looks too good to be true. And when that is what people think of, that is a great problem to have, because if you can meet that expectation, you'll blow their minds. And the people that didn't know about your game will be so blown away. If your game is not actually as good as you've presented it, then you disappoint people because you've set the bar here and you didn't meet it. Right? So it's going to be fascinating to watch, but I've heard rumblings of what their plans are for the next like month and a half. And I think that, I guess 2 months, they come out in like 2 months. So they went gold like 2 months ahead of time. That's crazy. But I've heard rumbles of what their plans are for the next 2 months and kind of what their game plan is. And, they are exuding confidence with this. So I'll just say that. I'll say that. Yeah. Luke, have you seen the extreme difficulty of Phantom Blade Zero? I may or may not have tried it. I may or may not have tried it. And I may or may not have gotten my ass absolutely handed to me. And then I may have seen a developer play it on the extreme difficulty and show me how much better he was than me. So, yeah. Pretty impressive. I will say that's one of those games. You'll play it and you'll be like, I'm getting the hang of it. And then you'll see somebody who knows what they're doing. And it's like, oh, you know, it's like fighting games or action games with like heavy comboing. When you see somebody that knows what they're doing, you're like, well, I'm going to go home. I shouldn't be here. It's just like, I'm so bad compared to you. Why am I here? Why do I try? It's one of those games. So I think it's relatively easy to pick up and figure out. The skill ceiling on that game is crazy high. I think there's going to be some people you see them playing it and you're just like, that one also is one to keep an eye on for sure. Yep. Intergalactic, thank you. And then you know what we have to talk about.
At Intergalactic Pirate Radio donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Not every game needs to have uber cinematic levels of writing that touches generations, man. Sometimes
agree.
you're allowed a little dumb fun.
I agree. I think it's one of the frustrations I've had with some of the gaming discourse nowadays is that people think that it has to be like every game has to be Red Dead 2. Every game has to be GTA 6 or 5 or whatever. Every game has to be Cyberpunk. Every game has to be Elden Ring. Like, people are like, if it's not that 10 out of 10 masterpiece, it's therefore bad. And I don't think that's the case. I think there's games that focus on, like, everything is about prioritization. If a game focuses on gameplay and the gameplay is awesome, great. I don't need a super compelling story that brings tears to my eyes to have fun with it. You know, I can even if the story is there and it's like campy and kind of stupid, that's even okay if the game is fun. Like, I think games ultimately are supposed to be about fun. And I think a lot of the time people get caught up in the discourse of like they over analyze it. You know, it's not the technical term for it, but like analysis paralysis, you know, in the context that's usually used, it's in like D&D, where like D&D, if you're in a situation like, oh, we got to figure out what to do, people analyze it and they spend so much time analyzing it that they forget to play the game. Literally, like they just stand there and they have analysis paralysis and the table doesn't do a damn thing because they're just thinking and analyzing the situation, what they should do. And I think gamers do that sometimes too, where they get analysis paralysis and they just start watching all of the comparison videos of this game versus that game. And how does this run on this GPU or this console versus that console? And they just kind of start to lose sight of the broader picture, which is like, this is supposed to be a fun hobby where you're having fun, you know? Like, you shouldn't be stressing about, well, I was gonna get the game, but it uses TAA for anti-aliasing, and I think that temporal solution causes a lack of sharpness in the grass and foliage. Frankly, I think if they were able to come up with an alternative solution, or even if I could play this on an RTX 5080 with DLSS 4.5 or 4.5 with the transformer model, I think that would have been much better for my experience. I'm like, here I go. Hot take. You ready? Cancel me. I don't care. A slightly blurry good game is infinitely better than not playing the game at all. If you want sharpness, get a knife. You know, like there's going to be updates that can make it look better. If you think it looks bad, don't buy it. Don't play it. If you think the game looks unfun, don't buy it. Don't play it. But like, I think a lot of people get caught up in that analysis paralysis where they're so hyper fixated on the things that are like, as I've said before, I think that when you're evaluating whether a game is worth the purchase price or your time, if it's on like a subscription service or something, if you're evaluating whether a game is worth it, there's some things that really matter. So think like the scales of decision making. They have different weights, right? There's some things that are 10-pound kettlebells. There's some things that are 50-pound kettlebells to put on the scale. And then there's a lot that's just little grains of sand or little beads that really are not going to move the needle. Or shouldn't. But people spend an inordinate amount of time on the grains of sand and the beads that really probably don't matter that much. You know, it's like, I don't think it matters that much. Like, do I prefer a really good, deep learning super sampling solution for anti-aliasing over a temporal solution? Yes, I do prefer that. Is that going to determine whether or not I play the game? No. Like, it would be nice to have, but that's like this big on my consideration of everything else. Because guess what? If I refused to play games that were like technically clunky or maybe didn't look super graphically impressive, I never would have played games like Fallout New Vegas. Still runs like ass to this day. Even modded, it's not great. I would never have played The Witcher 3 because people complained about the texture quality at launch, and they also complained about combat and stuff like that. There's always, maybe another way of saying it is this. There's always 1,000 reasons not to do something, and only a few good reasons to do something. But the point is that those good reasons to do something often outweigh so much more than the little minutia, you know? We'll talk about the little things here and there because it's fun and interesting. But don't miss the forest for the trees.
At Samuel James 576 donated $9.99 through Super
Thank
Chat.
you.
Freaking love you, bro. I'm replaying FF16 and I'm curious if you have any thoughts on it. It's one of my favorite PS5 games despite its flaws, yet I may be
Yet I may be few and far between. Thank you. Love you too. And I love you, random citizen, as he says in Megamind. I appreciate you. $10, very generous. As for Final Fantasy 16, I did get it. I put a bit of time into it. I never finished it. But I've actually, just the other day, I was thinking of going back and trying to finish it. Because that's a game where it's like, the comparison has been made before, but people compared it to like God of War, Game of Thrones, where it's like very slow and steady and methodical with the narrative. So it's one of those games I think you have to meet where it's at and just give yourself over to the pacing, which is a lot slower than people might be expecting it to be. But I think if you're able to do that, like the set pieces, the spectacle is crazy. It's just outrageous. So I've wanted to go back to it. I've wanted to. But yeah, I would like to go back to it. Maybe when I have an extra couple of weeks where I'm just not doing anything. July is always dead. Maybe I'll go back to it in July. Maybe I'll do that. It's not a bad idea. Let's see. Wave says, I disagree. If 90% of games are bad and masked with VFX blur for cheap quality games / put at price tag 70 for AAA games, should the entire market community go, yeah, we want more crappy games and blurry, less quality, have higher expectation? Honestly, how many games you saw for $40 at AAA companies? I'm trying to decipher what I think you mean. What I'm saying is a bad port, bad quality game, yeah, you shouldn't buy. What I'm specifically talking about is a game that is good, but doesn't like perfectly match the checklist of like my ideal situation. If a game is really good, but like maybe an example would be, you brought up Capcom, what Resident Evil 4 remake. A great game, right? I think we all agree. It's a fantastic remake, very well done. Final Fantasy 4 Jesus. Resident Evil 4 remake, okay? This, wow, did it really come out in March of 23? Dude, I feel so old. This one, great game. It has an extra DLC bundle where they sell weapon upgrade tickets. They sell gameplay affecting things where if you pay more, you can get things like actual gameplay altering upgrades and things like this. I don't like that. Does that mean that I'm not going to play the game? No. I think it's like that. Yeah, this sucks. Wish it wasn't there. But like, I'm not a Puritan, you know? Like I can look at it and be like, I don't like that. And I'll let them know I don't like that. It's still an awesome game. And I think that's okay for you to say, I don't like this, but I like all this. So I'm going to play it and have a good time, you know? I think if you let something like relatively minor like that prevent you from playing otherwise really good games, you're just missing out on so much of the industry. Like, you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah, it devolves into pedantry. Yeah, I agree. It's just it gets really stupid really quickly. Where it's like, what are we doing? It's why I'm always like, I just want to play games, talk about the games. And if something gets into the point where it's like predatory or it's like really toxic and definitely deserves to be called out, we'll talk about it and we'll call it out. But the puritanical approach, where it's especially in the context of like graphics rendering and stuff, I'm just not interested in that. I just find it boring and stupid. Speaking of boring and stupid, are you ready? You know what I'm going to talk about? You know what I'm going to talk about? Boring and stupid? I don't actually know if it's going to be boring and stupid. I should be careful. I should be clear. Shocker alert. News segment. Crazy, unexpected news alert that nobody saw coming. IGN posted an article saying, can we please stop dunking on Concord? Oh my God. I did not even mean to say it. That's funny. Freudian slip. Can we please, let me take that again. Can we stop dunking on Highguard? I seriously didn't mean to do it. Before it's even out, please. That was freaking funny, dude. I think I saw Concord written here, and so my brain like copied it up there. That's freaking hilarious, dude. I've never had a like actual Freudian slip there. That's freaking hilarious. So this article posted by Simon Cardy. I typically like Simon's work. He does really good stuff with IGN. You probably recognize him. He's the one that kind of talks in the British accent and is very recognizable, you know. I sound nothing like him. My accent is not accurate. I'll give you that. But you'll recognize him. He's done a bunch of stuff. Looks like he did the campaign review. Did he do the voiceover for this?
Nice and quiet.
But it also detrimentally affects the solo experience. From not having AI companions fill in for you if no buddies are online, or kicking you for inactivity if you're idle for too long, to not even being able.
Yeah, that's him. So I like Simon, and he does good work typically, but this is a funny post, seeing it come from IGN, because it comes off as just like playing defense for a game that's been AFK and is like just not present at all, you know. Paul Tassi, of all people, he posted on Twitter. He's one of the writers for Forbes, if you don't know. And he actually responded to this headline, and we're going to look at the article in a second, but he actually said because the post was, Highguard isn't out yet. Why are we rushing to dunk on it? And he said, what it showed did not look good, and it has shown nothing else since. So what are we supposed to make of it? Which, yeah. It's like, I think there's such a funny dynamic with some of these games and with some journalists too, where they assume that people should start being like convinced of it. Earlier in stream, I talked about like the scale and like the balancing of where you are on the scale of convincing me that I should buy your game, like the quality scale. So imagine like it's here, it's balanced on the fulcrum right in the middle. If you're totally unconvinced one way or the other, you don't think it's going to be bad, you don't think it's going to be good, you're in the dead center, right? If you think it's going to be good and you're going to pre-order it, get the collector's edition, you're probably over here. You're this like fanboy territory. And if you're over here, you're like full on hater, where you're just like, nothing they could possibly show will ever convince me. This is going to be terrible no matter what. Like, we all know the types. What they did was their trailer dropped and most people landed over here. They thought it looked lackluster and lame, and so they're just not that interested. So they're here based on what they showed. But then you see posts like this from IGN where they're acting like, no. You should be exactly here no matter what until the game comes out, until you play it. It's like, no, they showed me a trailer. I thought it looked lame. And so I'm not convinced. And I'm like, if your point is like we shouldn't be a hater towards it, okay, that's one thing. But people saw a trailer, thought the trailer was lame and uninteresting, and so that's what's informing their decision. And that's not their fault for feeling that way. It's the job of the developer and publisher to convince you to buy it, right? Like, that's the point. He says, on December 11th, 2025, Highguard was revealed at the Game Awards, a PvP raid shooter from some of the creators behind Apex Legends and Titanfall. Highguard was admittedly somewhat of a surprise as the last reveal of Jeff Keighley's show, which has typically been reserved for highly anticipated single-player games such as Naughty Dog's next Project Intergalactic or the next Mass Effect. Rather than a big-budget RPG, Highguard's trailer displayed a multiplayer game rooted in a mix of fantasy and sci-fi, with SMG-wielding heroes riding horses into battle and magical spears hurled into the ground, spears hurled into the ground to ground enemies by floating characters. A new breed of shooter flashed across the screen as its Overwatch by way of Concord action played out. The online reaction to this trailer has not been kind. Type Highguard into YouTube and you'll be almost exclusively met with videos headlined something along the lines of, "This game is cooked. It's worse than we thought. What happened?" What's happened is that it hasn't even been released yet, and so I'm here to state what I thought would be the obvious. We should actually play games before we definitively decide if they're good or bad. I feel like definitively is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. Here's where I'm at, okay? I don't need to necessarily eat. Let me take it another angle. I don't need to drink from a cup of spoiled milk to tell that it's spoiled. You know? I don't need to drive my car on the highway to know that the tire is really low and might pop if I and rip apart if I go on the highway. Like, I don't need to act out the full thing to use deductive reasoning and to take information that I've been informed by to come to a conclusion based on the best evidence that I have. Okay, you don't have to actually follow all the way through. This is something that you do literally every freaking day of your life. When you go to a restaurant and you look at a menu and you decide that all looks terrible, that looks good, I'll order that. You just dismissed all of this stuff without trying it and settled on that based on the information they presented to you. It's the same thing you do when you're driving on the road and you're like, that road, I think there's potholes over there. I'm going to go up a street and go over. I don't want to go in the potholes. You didn't drive on the street, dude. It could have been great for all you know. Stop judging the road. Like, this is just a human being thing. You take information that you get and then you make an informed decision. In the case of Highguard, obviously, I agree what Bustanut says, which is that it is free. So this is much more approachable and accessible than a game like Concord was, which was, of course, $40 at launch. You can just download it, presumably through Steam, assuming it launches in 5 days, and you can just play it and give it a shot, right? It's still a task. It's still something players need to be convinced of, to not just spend the time to download it, because I have fiber. Pat myself on the back for that. Did not always have fiber, though. And when I didn't have fiber, I only recently got fiber internet. When I did not have fiber, downloading a game like this, that's going to be like 25 to 50 gigs, that's like a solid hour and a half, 2 hour process that I'm not using any of my other internet that night. If I'm playing games with friends, all of a sudden I got to set that aside. And then I also coordinated with my friends to maybe hop on and try it as well with me, because it's a team-based game. So it's like, it's a process and you got to be convinced of it. Because this is very competitive. And in order for me to play this, I'm not playing something else that I know I like, right? So you still have to be convinced. You still have to be convinced at the end of the day to even bother trying. There's been plenty of other free-to-play games that you probably have never played because you weren't convinced of them. I understand not being into the look of the game, which is funny. I've seen this going around. People described it. They said he has the free-to-play haircut. Which, like, once I saw it, I can't unsee it, damn it. Cause, like, yeah, kinda like it is kind of the, yeah. I don't know what it is, but dude, there's just some games where you see them and it's the haircut's the giveaway. It's always the giveaway. It's so funny. It's so funny to me. It's just so funny. But anyway, you may not like the look of the game, but among the gaming community, it increasingly feels as if there's almost no underlying need for new releases to be bad if they're not exactly, hold on, I added a word. It increasingly feels as if there's now almost an underlying need for new releases to be bad if they're not exactly what we want from one. I can't help but feel this attitude is completely unhelpful in the long run, engineered with social media and rage bait content algorithms in mind, rather than any kind of thoughtful analysis of what's on show. Such willingness to dunk on a game for which we only have a single trailer and 10 screenshots displays a complete misunderstanding of or intentional opposition to a, quote, rising tide lifts all boats mentality when it comes to game development. So, a willingness to dunk on a game for which we only have a single trailer and 10 screenshots. This is like the whole point of this. Whose fault is that? You put out a trailer. People thought trailer looked bad. They concluded from that trailer, look bad, me not like. Me not interested. And then they closed the book because that's all they have to go on. if there were a new trailer, they might look at it and go, ooh, new trailer. Me like new trailer. Me like game. Me convinced game may be good. And then they close the book because now they've been convinced because they got new information. It's not my fault that they only dropped one trailer and that trailer left people in the state that they are. I can't speak for other content creators. When we've spoken about Highguard, it's usually about the broader reception to it. You don't get to choose or demand how people feel about something. As I've said since the beginning, the game may actually end up being pretty solid or pretty good. Coming from former Apex devs, I'm sure they know how to make a good shooter, okay? That's never been the point. The point is, when it comes to convincing players that this is a game worth playing, this failed. And their response has been to go into lockdown and refuse to elaborate. And then people like IGN are like, why are you judging it? You only have one trailer. It's like, yes. And we didn't like the trailer. Like, what do you mean? It's like if I go to a restaurant, I'm just hungry. That's why I'm using all the food analogies. If I go to a restaurant and I order a soup and the soup shows up and it's cold and I'm pretty sure there's a toenail in it and I send it back and then they come back out and they're like, you lost your appetite, sir. Why won't you order a steak or something? Why won't you order more? Why are you not interested in continuing this relationship and this business relationship with us? And I'm like, you gave me one thing and that one thing sucked and I lost I'm not interested. I'm done. You've given me no other reason to be compelled, right? Like, I'm not going to like give you the benefit of the doubt now. You know, I'm good. It's like, again, and so it's either displays a complete misunderstanding of or intentional opposition to a rising tide lifts all boats mentality when it comes to game development. More successful games are ultimately good for everyone, even if this specific one doesn't meet your personal tastes. I can understand this mentality. More successful games are ultimately good for everyone. So the more successful more games are, the better it is for everybody in the industry. This is, I get what he's saying. It comes off as lecturing though, because you're upset at how people feel and you're telling them they shouldn't feel that way. But the case is just like, hey, stop. It's like they gave us one trailer. People thought the trailer was lame. People thought the trailer was uninteresting. And now you're like, yeah, you guys are not rooting for the health of the games industry. You're not helping a rising tide lift all ships. Like, that's respectfully, it's not my problem to like deceive myself. If I thought the game didn't look interesting, the game didn't look interesting. It just is what it is. It's not like, it's not this big of a deal, dude. Like, it's just not that interesting of a game based on the trailer. Now another trailer could convince me it actually is really good, and then I'll root for it. But I'm not going to pretend like it looked amazing to try and like hype it up or hype up the industry or save other boats or something. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's short. Well, okay, maybe not. But he says, of course, it isn't just the gameplay fueling this fire, but the relative lack of noise from developer Wildlight Entertainment following its reveal. More than a month later, this teaser remains the only video on the game's official YouTube channel, which at the time of writing still only has 1,610 subscribers. Somewhat odd for a game that has received such a prized reveal spot or slot on gaming's biggest night of the year, a slot that notably the studio did not pay for. Reportedly, Jeff Keighley simply really liked the project a lot more than the wider audience seems to have. Yeah, he seemed to like it a lot more. A similar situation can be seen on social media where the Highguard's official X account is followed by just over 7,000 people and hasn't posted since that December 12th announcement date. And there are no details on characters, abilities, or maps. There's not even an explanation of how this new breed of PvP works, which is unhelpful considering raid shooter is not a commonly recognized genre. Highguard itself may well not be bad, but the marketing promoting it certainly could be accused of being subpar. It's certainly novel. We looked at that one post from one of the guys that's former IGN, where he was saying, just connect the dots, dude. It's from former Respawn guys. So they shadow dropped Apex Legends. That's what they're going to do here. It's not a shadow drop if you already announced it. It's just a drop. So, what do you mean? Like, shadow drop, never been announced before. They drop it, former Apex devs, they put it out there. Let's see what happens. That would be one thing. That's not what they do. That's not what they're doing. They announced it. They put out a trailer. People are aware of it. Then they go silent. People are like, what's the deal? Like, it's just a drop. It's just a drop that they refuse to elaborate on. And right now, like, we are 5 days away. It's been rumored that there was an event in Los Angeles for select content creators to go and see the game. It's been rumored. I was not one of them. Shocking, I know. I was not one of them. I don't know who went there. And typically I know most of the people that are going to events like this, and I've not heard any rumblings or anything. Let's see. There was an event. Let's see. There was an event to this one. I think Destin wrote this one. Yeah, this was when Destin was still at IGN. So for this event, for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, they went out to Warner Brothers, but it was largely an isolated thing. So they had like IGN and GameSpot and other outlets there. Dude, I forgot about this.
After playing it for a
Dude, I forgot how many things they do in Suicide Squad that like would so not be okay if they just flipped the characters around. Like, imagine Deadshot or Joker or something doing this to Harley's butt.
Harley, no!
Worth it.
But it's funny. Like, it's crazy. Dude, that whole game is insane. Anyway, with this one though, they did have a preview event where they invited people out. A lot of people were not convinced of this game at that point. And they invited people out. And in this case, it was a preview event where people literally left being like, yeah, we're not that impressed. Destin was a trooper for this one too, because they, like, some of the fanboys came at him. Like they really went crazy. Yeah. Maybe this could be a case of when not to delay a game. Rocksteady probably should have just released Suicide Squad last year in May of 23 like they were supposed to. Live service game, I'm out. Yeah, these comments are all relatively good, but there were some people that were going at him at the time, I remember, because he dared to say that it looked bad. But yeah, I remember this getting headlines. We played it and didn't like it. Which is like not great for a preview. But there's allegedly been a preview for High Guard that nobody knows about. Nobody knows who went to it. So I'm guessing it's mainly like big outlets like IGN and GameSpot, those places, Eurogamer. It doesn't seem like they invited a lot of big personalities out there. But maybe time will tell. Maybe they'll reveal that they had Tim the Tap Man out or Shroud again, you know, as if that really helped Suicide Squad. So who knows what they're going to do. But we probably hear about that in the next few days, I would guess, because the game is supposed to launch on Monday, I think. So imagine if it was Mr. Beast. Dude, I heard from somebody that was in the mix with King of Meat for the marketing stuff. And I heard some of the background of how that Mr. Beast video happened. And apparently it was literally one executive within Amazon that vetoed the entire process. They had a plan to like go do guerrilla marketing with like actual gamers and like actually try and build out a grassroots marketing campaign. And an executive at Amazon was like, nope, we're going to go with Mr. Beast. And he overhauled it, vetoed it. So there was a plan to do a more reasonable marketing campaign for that game, but it was one executive dude that decided, nope, we're going Mr. Beast. Because he's probably like, I've heard of Mr. Beast. Let's do that. And it ended up being such a catastrophic mistake. 7 million views. Who knows how many millions of views or millions of dollars spent on it. And they got 50 concurrent players. 50 more concurrent players. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like if you want your game to sell, you should market it to actual gamers instead of 7-year-olds who play Roblox. Cancel me. I don't care. Cancel me. Just my opinion. Perhaps the development team is aiming to recapture lightning in a bottle and recreate the overwhelming successful shadow drop that Apex Legends benefited from. Perhaps when it arrives, we'll all be hooked. After all, it's directed by Chad Grenier. Grenier, maybe? One of the original Call of Duty designers, whose credits include the first 2 Modern Warfare games, both Titanfall's, Apex Legends, and he's joined by multiple other veterans of hugely successful games. But prior success is not a guaranteed key to victory. And yes, perhaps the final product will end up being underwhelming. But even knowing that, it's disheartening to see that this failure has already been presumed by many online, a predetermined fate, if you will. Again, what are they supposed to do with it, man? Like, they saw it, and like, this is one thing you gotta understand about live service games, okay? The one thing that's worse than a game that looks bad is a game that's cringe. Is a game that's taboo. That's what people hate. Especially when you're younger. Nobody wants to be playing the uncool game. Nobody wants to be playing the uncool game. So if you are trying to push your friends to play the uncool game, that doesn't work. So everybody just sticks with what they know, what they're familiar with. And with something like this, like you're talking about a live service game, and a time commitment to get into it, to get good with it, to get familiarized with it, to build up. I don't know if there's going to be skills or if there's long-term progression or a ranked mode. Like, we literally know nothing because they've refused to tell us. But why would I commit the time and energy to building that out if I think that the game is probably going to be dead in a month? You know, I'm not going to commit to that because it's just going to end up wasting my time. So I'm not going to bother even trying, you know? And that's what happens with a lot of these live service games. It's why player count does matter, because when people commit to a live service game, they're committing, once they decide this is going to be my thing, they're committing for months or even years. And so you've got to have a player base to back that up. Jay St. Clair, thank you for the 5. They keep using shadow drop. I do not think that means what you think it means. Literally, I mean, dude, this drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. It's literally not a shadow drop because there's no shadow. It's a fully lit drop. There's a spotlight on the 26th of January because they announced it was dropping on that day. Why do they keep saying shadow drop? I get it, dude. I don't know. It's this immediate and complete writing off of a game that irks me somewhat. That's the most British sentence I've ever read. You may feel that Highguard's action doesn't look like your cup of tea from the less than 2 minutes you've seen of it. And for all I know, when it launches on January 26th, it may well struggle to find a substantial audience. But it's this immediate and complete writing off a game that irks me somewhat. Again, the trailer was lame and people didn't think it looked great. You're not entitled to a player's time. You're not entitled to a player's energy, to their SSD space. You're not entitled to a single watt of energy from their wall. You have to convince them to download your game. You have to convince them to play it. That's on, and I say you, I mean the developers and publishers, mainly the publisher, because it's a publisher marketing thing. That's on you. Like, I don't understand. We saw this with Highguard. We've seen it with like Concord. We saw it with Suicide Squad. That was cringe though, because that game was $70 and we had people telling us we were brokies if we didn't like it. Do you guys remember that guy? He was like, yeah, if you're not gonna buy Suicide Squad, just admit you're broke. It's like, do you want to play this game? I was like, I'm happy to play this game. If you want to go dollar for dollar, if you want to go band to band, or whatever people say nowadays, I can do that. That's not the problem. The problem is the game sucks. Okay. Like, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll see where that's at. Continuing. I realize I'm largely swimming against the tide of minds that have been made up here. I don't think it's made up. It's just literally, we have information. We came to this conclusion based on that information. There's been no new information. What are we supposed to do? Change our minds based on a post on Reddit or X or IGN telling us you should be more considerate and more open-minded? Like, what are we doing? It's much easier to tear something down than reinforce it with optimism. I think maybe this is the thing. Some people, and I appreciate optimism generally, okay? But I think toxic, or I think overwhelming optimism and positivity is also how you get games greenlit that waste tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars when they were never going to find an audience to begin with. You know? I could have told you a game like Concord was going to end badly 2 years, 3 years, 4 years before it happened. I think any one of you guys could have. But it was that optimism of, well, we just gotta, we're gonna put it out there, we're gonna see it. It's that's how you end up with this situation. It's just by refusing to be kind of honest with yourself, even if that honesty is kind of rough to hear, you know? But I can't help but feel that many of the same people gleefully rubbing their hands together at what looks like another underwhelming game in their eyes will be the same bemoaning the fact that the games industry is in a difficult spot where layoffs and studio closures seemingly happen on a weekly basis, putting the creatives they admire out of work. This, though, is crucial, okay? I think this is a chicken and the egg situation. Here's the thing. It is true the current industry lays people off, studios get shut down when a live service game flops. The live service game largely flops because it never stood a chance, or the concept was bad, or it came out 8 years too late for the genre it was trying to appeal to, right? That disaster could have been avoided if they didn't act like it was going to magically be successful, ignoring the writing on the wall, spending all this time and money making something that never really stood a chance. Because there are, maybe this is a hot take, there are some game concepts that I just think, no matter what the marketing is or whatever, I don't think will pop off. I don't see a world in which Concord, launching when it did, would have found like 50,000 concurrent players. I don't think that was a marketing stumble. I don't think that was a, like, oh, if we'd only announced it here and then done this preview and done that, maybe done this different trailer. I don't think there was a world in which that happened, because I think the game, as a product, was doomed to fail from the start. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't appropriate for the time. You know, it was literally 8 years too late. Exactly. And with this, like, I feel for the devs that lose their jobs, and I feel for the devs that suffer when the executives are the ones that screwed up and greenlit this when it never should have been. But it's also, maybe it's mean to say, it's literally not the consumer's problem if somebody spends years making a product they don't want. It's just not. Okay? It's not. It's the same thing. Like, if you go to a farmer's market, we've all done it. You go to a farmer's market, you see the stand where there's like somebody selling their homemade whatever granola bar treat, whatever, and you can smell it from across the parking lot because it's just wheatgrass, honey, and maybe a little bit of urine or something. And they're like, no, I swear it's organic. It's a bad product. I don't want it. And even though, yeah, they worked hard on it, and it, like, maybe it hurts their feelings to not sell any of those, it's not my problem. Like, you're trying to convince me to buy your thing. You know, this isn't a preschool where I'm going up to the toddlers and being like, wow, this mud pie looks great. Great job. You're an adult. This is a business. You know? It sucks. It can make you sad. I get it. But especially when the market is bad, when people are struggling to pay their bills, you're not entitled to their money and you're not entitled to their time. And that's the thing, like, time is valuable, baby. Time is money, baby. And so this general attitude we've seen from a lot, sorry, wrong camera. This general attitude we've seen from a lot of different people where it's like, just assume that the developer is entitled to, your time, that you should try it, or you're not an actual like ally of gaming. I just find it stupid. I just find it dumb. And it's that kind of take it for granted attitude that is why you end up with so many of these live service games that fall flat, because they're built around this idea that, well, when they try it, they'll like it, probably. And then nobody tries it because they're not convinced that it's worth trying. You know, it's blaming the gamers. Yeah, that's definitely what it seems to come off as. It's like we're missing the key context here, which is that even though Highguard is a free to play game, it is still a product from a business. They're trying to sell you stuff. There's going to be an in-game store. There's going to be seasons. There's going to be skins. There's going to be season pass, battle pass, whatever. There's going to be not just that, but also your time. They need you to stop playing that other game that you've been having fun with your friends on and instead play this game. Like, it is still a business. They're trying to extract revenue from you. It's not just like, give it a shot. See what you think of it. Like let's not miss and lose sight of the dynamic here, okay? You are the customer. They need to convince you to come into their business to engage with them. If no one is attempting to make a new experiences and at least try to deliver on the promise of new breed of shooter, then we're in a grim place indeed. Okay. I agree. New experiences, new ideas are great. Totally agree. You still got to convince me that it's worth my time and energy. Like, again, you're not entitled to it. If you're trying to do a new breed of shooter, bear in mind that's a very similar marketing ploy than as what they had with Concord, where it was an innovative narrative technique, which was just a cutscene before every week that they did. Looking further ahead, Marathon will finally launch in March of 26. My another hot take, I think Marathon's actually going to do pretty well. I'm getting more and more convinced of that when I look at player feedback, when I look at the response online, and just if you look at the gameplay overhauls they've done, I think Marathon actually now, I'm up in it. September, I think if it launched in September, it was like a 1% chance, 0 to 1% chance it finds any success at all. I think it would have been a disaster if they tried to push it out in September. Now that it's gone to March, initially I was like, maybe it's now like 5 to 10%. I think now the odds are getting closer to like 30 to 40% that it actually finds a pretty solid audience. An audience that justifies $4 billion purchase price? Probably not. But I do think it'll find a solid audience. I think it actually looks pretty good. So, but you know why I think that? You know why I think that? Just like Fanbat says in chat, I wasn't before, but I'm interested in Marathon now, he says in chat. Wasn't before, I'm interested in Marathon now. Because they showed you more and convinced you. Imagine that. You weren't convinced based on what they showed you earlier in 2025. They went away, worked on some stuff, showed you new stuff. Now you're convinced. It's amazing how that works. It's amazing. Oh my goodness. It's been a rocky road for developer Bungie so far, with the last year being full of beta tests that were met with little enthusiasm, plagiarism allegations not helping the studio's reputation at all. But to its credit, Bungie has been very quiet these last few months, working hard on a new version of the game that takes into account much of the feedback received from its burgeoning community. I, for one, am excited for it, despite not being overly interested in the extraction shooter genre. While many may already see, or indeed want to see, the writing on the wall for amid hasty comparisons to Sony's previous live service shooter Concord, I remain hopeful, largely due to believing in the shooter pedigree the Destiny developer is bringing to the project, much like the ex-Titanfall and Apex Legends team is carrying forward to Highguard. I think, I mean, maybe he honestly is convinced largely because of the pedigree of the developers and their experience. I think most people who have changed their mind and are looking forward to Marathon now, it's based on what they actually saw and have seen. The gameplay reveals, the new information about the new classes, the scab basically mechanic that they've added to the game. Like, they've done a lot of stuff to it to overhaul it. And I think that has spoken volumes. Yeah, they're developers at Bungie, and Bungie's got a storied history, sure. But I think a lot of it is just what you show. Like, talk is cheap, you know? He continues on. Again, I'm by no means convinced that either of these games will be blockbuster hits, nor guarantee that they'll be amazing shooters in their own right, but I at least want to give them a chance. Because if we're not getting excited about games, what are we even doing here? Quote, never judge a book by its cover is an old adage, or is an age-old phrase, but one that seems as pertinent as ever. Maybe in 2026, it should be updated to never judge a game by its initial teaser or lack of marketing beats running up to launch. A mouthful, sure, but we'll never discover the next great game if we endeavor to kill it before it even arrives. I think that, just to wrap this up, I understand what he's saying. And I do think there are people that just love to hate. They just love the rage. Let's be honest. Some of you are even in here. I see you. But I think most people just didn't think the reveal was that interesting, or they even thought it was bad and the game looked bad. And so they decided, looks bad. And until there is sufficient evidence or anything else to convince them otherwise, they're going to stay in that position. They're going to stay in that spot. Now, this could change very quickly. Maybe this preview event comes out in like a few days. If they actually did do a reveal in, like, say the 25th, they do a reveal of the LA preview event thing that they did, and they show people off, and it's like, oh, actually, this is baller. Oh, this game is amazing. I still don't think that's, you know, I don't think that's a slam dunk, because let me just show you a little something. There was a live service game that launched about 9 years ago that received unbelievable hype, unbelievable positive reception. And because it ultimately lands on the, like, luck of the draw, it didn't end up doing too hot. We're also going to see Baby Destin. Do you guys remember this game?
Creators of Left 4 Dead have officially revealed the first information on their new project.
Evolve is no joke. This is a gamer's game. New wave of the next generation.
The game is just so much fun. I love it.
This game is right up my alley. This is a game that I really see myself becoming my next addiction.
Congratulations to Evolve for winning 4 E3 2014 Video Game Critics Awards.
It's a gorgeous game. I think it's going to do really, really well. I'm all about multiplayer games these days.
Best of Show, Best Console Game, Best Online Multiplayer, and Best Action Game.
Fun as hell. Make you think about and make you remember.
This, of course, is from the Krabby Cat video, which is a classic covering this game. But this was a game that was massively hyped up. It was a huge deal at the time, and the reception was overwhelmingly positive. It still ended up flopping catastrophically. It was rough. It was really bad. It's to be clear, I'm not sure if it actually flopped or if it was just because, like, I think it sold decently well at the start, but it died out pretty hardcore.
Very competitive in a very competitive tournament.
If you thought the matchmaking was bad when it first came out, now with an all-time low number of players, good luck on getting into a full lobby or getting your choice of characters now.
There'll be a decent player base at launch, and then seemingly overnight, that player base becomes a shell of itself. And I'm not talking about, like, the hype died down and the player base is stabilized. I mean, fucking sharp decline, craziness.
Hopefully 3 years from now, right? When you've bought some game and it let you down, you know, it didn't live up to your expectations, you can always be like, you know what, I'm gonna play Evolve, because goddamn, that game's still fun.
It is funny to think that their timelines back in 2014 was 3 years from now you'll be playing it. Nowadays the goal is 10. It's crazy. Different world. So all of this I think is very, very interesting. It's an interesting discussion to be had over Highguard, but I think at the end of the day it really just comes down to this. The initial reveal was not compelling. People communicated that and have formed an opinion based on that information. Found it uncompelling. Until there is new evidence to change their minds, that's where they're going to be. That's where they're going to sit. And that's okay. It's not their problem that they're not convinced, okay? If they looked at the trailer, found the trailer lame, that's the trailer's fault, or that's the marketing agent's fault. And part of it is probably Jeff's fault for putting it in the spot that he did, but it's not the viewer's fault for coming to the conclusion that seemingly the vast majority of people all kind of landed on together, you know? I think it's okay for people to feel that way. It's a healthy level of consumer skepticism. Yeah, and it's what's going to be borne out in the next several years. This is the new normal. Okay? Like, people don't have a lot of cash to throw around. They don't have a lot of time to throw around. They have to be selective with what games they play and buy, where they spend money, where they spend time. And so they're going to be cautious before they make any big moves. And as I've said before, with how big some of these live service games are now, when you want to compete with them, you're not just trying to make a good game. You're trying to make a game that's so good, you get players to leave the game they're currently playing, which is a different thing entirely, you know? Because you're not, like, if you didn't play a live service game in 2014 and then like Evolve looked awesome, you hop in there, you're a new player to live service. They just acquired you as a new player, right? Nowadays, everybody's kind of got the game that they play with friends. If they are a live service player, they've got their game. So to make Highguard successful, you have to be so good that you convince them to leave that game and come over here. And their strategy right now seems to be to shadow drop. I think it's more like a spotlight drop, but they expect it to drop and let hype carry the day, just like it did with Apex. That works if there's hype. The point of all of this is that there is no hype. You know? That's the problem. So I think that people will jump in. I think people will try it on the 26th when it drops. I think they'll download it, give it a shot for a few sessions. I think the real telling thing is going to be where player counts are a week after launch. Being free to play, I think you'll get higher player counts than Concord had, would be my guess, because Concord had a big price tag and barrier to entry. But I do think that it's going to be how many of those players stick around day 2, day 3, day 4. What does that look like? I just think at the end of the day, if people are not convinced of something, going radio silent is not a great strategy. Unless you're going to come back swinging. That's the one exception. Like, No Man's Sky drops, catastrophic failure. People are hating on them. They disappear for a while. They come back and they start updating and overhauling the game to make it better and better and better. That helps, I think. That can improve things. But you got to be able to do that. You gotta come back with something big to show, you know? Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Doesn't work. Joke's the guy that said spin off to a totally different game. I mean, that would be funny if they just totally pivot. But anyway, let me catch up on this real quick. Scrolls 2, thank you for the 5. This article is giving the same energy as Emil's Paper Airplane monologue IMO. I think it's just, I understand the desire for optimism. But I think one thing that often happens is just that people start to lose sight of the true dynamic, which is not an entitlement, but rather that you need to convince players with your actions largely. And once you've done that, then players will come and play and engage. Some developers and studios start with players much more engaged than others or much more convinced than others. But that's something you earn, you know? It's something you earn. Yeah, Pinkie Pie, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Thank you. Hi, Luke. Did you see the Video Game Awards tweeted out about Highguard releasing 1 week, yet the Highguard account is still silent? Weird. Yeah, it is weird. I've also looked at some of the social media accounts of some of the devs. I feel kind of bad since I made my video pointing out that, like, I checked their social media accounts and they hadn't said much. None of them have said a damn thing. So I think they actually, like, straight up logged off and were like, okay, no more social media. YouTubers are watching. Because, yeah, YouTubers are watching. I think it's there's that. I heard one person was suspecting, they're like, a lot of the devs working on Highguard. Excuse me. A lot of the devs working on Highguard were former co-workers with Vince Zampella, the individual who died in the car accident like right before Christmas, the former COD designer. It was really tragic case, but a lot of them worked with him, and so their social media posts were a lot of like condolences and sharing memories and stuff with him. So some people were suspecting that maybe some of the radio silence is because as a studio they've kind of gone into mourning, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if anybody like they worked with him, I'm sure it was a very, very tough thing. But I don't think that explains like a month's worth of silence. Like maybe they would go silent for a few days after that as a studio to kind of collect themselves, but I don't think that explains a month, you know. I just don't see it. Let's see, where did I leave? Let's see. Armin and Coleman, thank you for the 2. I think Wolverine will have its own state of play. I think so too. Probably in like September or August. I could see that. Let's see. Daniel, thank you for the super chat. Those paid journalists are just trying to gaslight us. We shouldn't even pay attention to them anymore. I again, like, I think the article is written in good faith, and I think he's trying to just say, like, don't dismiss games immediately. Like, try to be optimistic, and you may end up being surprised at some games you didn't think you were going to like that you end up liking because they you know, you gave them a shot. I understand that desire and what he's trying to say, but I also think it's just not the reality of how people work. If they're not convinced by something, they're just not convinced by it. You can't convince them to change their mind. Like, people have settled what they think of what they saw. They're not going to change it magically because you told them be more open-minded. Like, that's just not how people work, you know? And ultimately it's up to them to convince that audience to play their stuff. Let's see. Meta, thank you for the 5. There's something about the main character's haircut from like 2015 that just tells me so much about this game. It screams, howdy, young people. I don't know why they do it. Yeah, there's got to be a study. Maybe, you know, if we have any like students out there, PhD students that are working on like projects or something, academic projects, I'm telling you, I think it would be fascinating. We would read it on stream. If you wrote like a dissertation on haircut designs and hair designs and character designs in modern live service games and like multiplayer games compared to years ago, I think it'd be so interesting. So interesting. I would read the crap out of that. I think it'd be so cool because, like, I think you rewind the clocks 10 years and the types of games and designs that we saw were so different from what you see now. Very different, you know? Be very interesting. Rockstar historically doesn't do live announcements and stuff like that. Or what are we talking about? Oh, for like a GTA 6. I think they just drop a trailer. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what they do. They don't need to do nothing. They could literally go no trailers until launch day and they'd be totally fine. They'd still sell millions. Let's see. Scrolls, thank you for the 5 again. If the game was good, they wouldn't need to address the backlash. The game would speak for itself. P.S. You're great. Thank you, my friend. And I agree. Like, you can't treat a game that people responded very negatively to the same way as a game that people responded with overwhelming hype to. You know? You don't get to do that. That's not how it works. No, I did not miss your super chat, Shifa. I'm catching up to it. I'm going chronologically, so I see it on the list. I'm almost there. Don't worry. I appreciate you being patient. Sorry. When I get in my ramble mode, you know, I get in there.
$9.99 through super chat. No matter what, I am only concerned in DSP's playthrough and inevitable wage quit of Highguard. That is my only metric for game success.
It is the ultimate deciding factor, frankly. I totally get what you mean. Yep. It is funny how the moment that the money stops rolling in, the game starts sucking. It's really funny how that happens. What a coincidence, frankly. In a gaming rut recently, should I finish Metaphor BG3 Act 3 or start KCD 2? Finally finished the new Office. 98 IKEA desk is elite. Dude, I told you. It's so great. It's so great. Now that you're used to it, you can never go back. Seriously, it's a game changer. I would say finish. Well, it depends on how far you are in Metaphor. If you're only like 20 hours into Metaphor, you have a lot of Metaphor left. So maybe finish. My recommendation, okay? This is my recommendation. I'd say finish Act 3 of Baldur's Gate. Shouldn't take you crazy long because it sounds like you're already in Act 3. You just have to finish it. So I'd finish that, and then I would finish Metaphor, and then start KCD 2 and go all the way through it. You know, finish that back catalog. Get it done. Lock it down. Finish it up. That's what I think you got to do. Let's see. Jason Cloud, thank you for the chew. Me when I saw the High Guard trailer, big oof. Yeah, I think the fact that everybody reacted that same way, I think, is so telling. And it's such a miscalculation on their part for thinking the reception would be any different. Because it sounds like Jeff honestly thought that people would be like, I think people love this. I think people will give this a standing ovation. I think he really thought that the reception would be the polar opposite of what it was. Intergalactic Power Radio, thank you for the 5. I miss demo discs, don't you, Luke? I miss that. I was just thinking about this the other day. I want cheat codes. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I want to press pause and do up, down, triangle, left stick, right bumper, left trigger, right trigger, A, X circle, and get a funny haircut. That's what I want. Seriously, why did games get rid of cheat codes? They're genuinely fun, like genuinely awesome. And it's just not a thing anymore. Like, it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to, like, I think some games, they just moved it. Like The Last of Us Part 2, for example, has stuff that would typically be a cheat code. It has, like, you know, different color filters, unlimited ammo. It has stuff like that, but they're locked behind those like special points you unlock for playing through the game and spending more time in it. So they still have them. It's just in a different form, but a lot of games just don't have it at all, you know? Nowadays people use Wiimod. Yeah, well, and that genuinely is a really cool tool that works very well. It's just, I want it built in. I want it built in. I miss it. Yeah. Whoever said they aren't there, you just need to get your controller. Oh, maybe they are there and it's just mysterious. Yeah, we just don't know. Let's see. Chivay, thank you for the 5. There's 2 types of people in the world. Those who can extrapolate from missing data. I like that. That's clever. That's good. That's good. Thank you for the 5. Mr. Mo, thank you for the 5 as well. So this article is saying not to judge the game, but just compared it to Overwatch and Concord. You know, the most recognizable flop of all time. Yeah, I think literally the messaging just comes down to don't judge it and dismiss it. You should play it before you make up your mind. But that it just dismisses the fact that like people looked at it, found it uninteresting, and decided I'm not interested. Like, are we expected to play every free-to-play game out there? Like, are we expected to try all of it? And then what irked me, what I felt somewhat irksome about was the insinuation that people may be purposefully dismissing or rejecting the idea of optimism because they want to like harm the industry. Like the insinuation, he was like, you know, potentially willful rejection of the concept that a rising tide lifts all ships. You know, this idea that if we're more optimistic and more games are successful, the industry more broadly is successful. So the insinuation is that some people who are not liking Highguard are hurting the industry knowingly. And I just think like that type of like little dig to undermine I mean, it's a character attack against people you're disagreeing with, and I just don't think that's generally helpful. Are there trolls out there? Sure. But like, I think the insinuation was much more pointed than that. Yeah. Where did I leave off? Jay, thank you for the 5 as well. To be honest, I never really cared if a game looks like pixel art. I just want a game that's good. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay. Let's see. I think I caught up there. Okay, yeah, we're caught up there. Vinny, thank you for the 2. Luke, you're awesome. That's it. Thank you, my friend. You're awesome. Appreciate you being here. Okay. Let me see. We got through that. Do I dare? Okay. Let's do this. Hold on. Fallout. Where did it go? Press site? Yeah, this. Okay. New segment thing. Okay, are you ready to be let down again? Yes? Glad you're here then. Let me ruin your day. There's been, of course, a lot of hype and speculation over the last week or two, specifically in the realm of Fallout. This started with something we already talked about on the Fallout Explorer page. If you don't recall this, it was this interactive map where you can click on it and you can actually tour areas. So explore 3D location, and you can actually look around once it loads and walk around the vault and see stuff. Genuinely kind of a cool marketing thing for Amazon to do, to show people what this looks like and check it out. That's genuinely a cool thing. I like that. But the reason why this started to go around was because in the upper right hand corner there is one that's labeled coming soon, and it, you can see, is dated for 13 days 11 hours and 26 minutes from right now. This coincides with the drop time for the final episode of the show. So people were like, ooh, shadow drop of Fallout 3 remake. And this was paired with a few other weird things that were happening. For example, there was a story of how Fallout New Vegas, let's see, wouldn't let you review it because what it would say is let's see, where did it go? Yeah, fans over on Reddit. I think this is it. Yeah. So over on the subreddit, this is 8 days ago is when this first was kind of figured out. When some people were trying to leave reviews for Fallout New Vegas, they noticed a little error code that popped up and said, you must wait until this product has been released before writing a review for it, which was strange because Fallout New Vegas, shocker, has been out for a while, a good bit, dare I say. This also happened when people tried to leave reviews occasionally. This doesn't happen for everybody, but for some people, it apparently happened when they tried to leave reviews for Fallout 3 as well. The suggestion being that there might be something going on behind the scenes. People also found that when you searched on Steam for Fallout, it would list I think it was 13 games in the search results, but it would only list 11. So people were like, so there's 2 product pages that are hidden. And you start to get the gears turning. People start to be like, oh, maybe it's all connected. Here we go. The hype starts building. People start losing their minds. Maybe it's all connected. Maybe this is actually Fallout 3 remastered. And we're going to get Fallout New Vegas remastered dropped at the same time, dude. There's people that think that tomorrow at the Xbox showcase, we are going to see shadow drops of both the Fallout 3 remaster and the Fallout New Vegas remaster. I'm here to tell you that almost certainly is not happening. For a few reasons. Okay? For a few reasons. Number one, let's just be real about this. This is BGS we're talking about. They can barely put out a game every 6 years. Do you really think they're going to shadow drop 2 games in the same day? Practically also, does it even make sense to do that? Like, you probably have people that will be playing Fallout New Vegas that you want playing Fallout 3. Why not stagger them? 2, we knew that the Fallout 3 remaster was in the works back in 2020 because that leaked document was from July of 2020, I believe it was. And so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they were working on that game, or at least it was on the to-do list. Fallout New Vegas was not. And Fallout New Vegas remake or remaster is honestly probably just as much, if not more work than the Fallout 3 remake / remaster. So I would be surprised if they got done at the same time, okay? But maybe it's just for one. Maybe. What about the store? What about the, sorry, Freudian slip. What about the picture? The Fallout 13-day countdown. What about that? I'm guessing, like, literally on this website, if you click here, it takes you to like their merch store on Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised if this is literally just for like more merch. It's just a fresh merch drop. Like, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. It might be just a link of the final trailer or teaser for season 3 of the show, like, for all we know. Or it might be an interactive map thing for specifically for the final spot, for like the final set piece of the show. Like, maybe the final thing takes place within the Lucky 38, or maybe we get one final look overlooking Washington, D.C., and they show that on the map, and you can see like an interactive thing just like this is interactive, right? It's probably something like that, okay? Just being real. Just being real. Just being real. As the only Fallout 76 player here, I just wanted to add a shit ton of assets have been remade for Fallout 76. Just a coincidence? Yeah, probably. Or is it? Or is it? Now, I don't have any super secret contacts. I don't have any leaked information or anything, but I do know somebody, allegedly, who does. Who does. This is a story from Jez Corden. Sorry, Twitter. Fallout 3 / New Vegas remakes are not immediately shadow dropping, but they are on the way. Here's what I know so far. And his sources describe the following. Rumors are swirling about the future of Fallout, and I'm here to crush your dreams. Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes remasters are not launching imminently. He says, the long-rumored remakes aren't around the corner. One of the things we know is that the original documents from the FTC hearing, where we initially heard about a Fallout 3 remaster, those documents had the Fallout 3 remaster dropping the same financial year as Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 is not releasing this year, much to the chagrin and disbelief of many, despite my best efforts to remind them. Yeah, that water is wet, exactly. Because of that, it would suggest everything else has been delayed by about 2 years. So it would suggest, oh yeah, you're right. How could I? How could I? Because of that, if everything else has been delayed by about 2 years, and that puts Elder Scrolls 6 around 2027, 2028, that would suggest that the Fallout 3 remake is also delayed by a similar margin. And if you're like, no, it's different because it's a remake or a remaster, that 2-year delay roughly also held true for the Oblivion remake, which we did end up getting and seeing. So unless they magically started making better time on Fallout 3, I would be surprised if it ends up dropping at the same time, or dropping sooner. What he goes on to say, a couple of weeks ago, I put out a report describing Xbox's 2026 and what it would look like. I mentioned that Fallout 3 and New Vegas are getting remakes. We already knew about Fallout 3 remake from Activision Blizzard FTC documentation leaks, but New Vegas is getting a remake was a relatively new piece of information I received from my sources recently. Although I can hardly claim to be sharing a revelation here, the Fallout TV show is a runaway success story, and Season 2 is heavily based in and around New Vegas and the Mojave Wasteland. I've been told that Bethesda's other remake project, Oblivion Remastered, was a huge hit for the studio internally too, exceeding internal goals and expectations. As such, Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes are a no-brainer, leaks or no. But how soon are we getting them? Recently, fans noticed Steam entries for Fallout 3 in New Vegas had seen some activity, with some users reporting errors as if game packages were missing. Speculation began to snowball about the possibility of remakes or remasters being shadow dropped in a similar fashion to the Oblivion remaster. We are getting an Xbox Developer Direct this week too, which has precedent for announcing new games from the company's subsidiaries. In addition, Amazon's Fallout TV show website has a mysterious countdown timers, which compounded hopes and speculation for mysterious Fallout 3 and New Vegas Shadow Drop. And I can confirm emphatically that this timer has nothing to do with any Fallout games, however. It doesn't get much clearer than that. He's saying, absolutely, it is not for a new game, okay? On top of that, I'm told Steam listings for Fallout 3 and New Vegas are showing some activity due to updates for localized versions of the existing games and aren't to do with any impending shadow drop for Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes or remasters. Indeed, I'm told Fallout 3 and New Vegas remakes aren't exactly imminent and that you shouldn't expect them in the near term. I'm still trying to lock down more detailed timings on when we should see them appear, but the impression I'm getting is that we'll see Fallout 3 remastered before New Vegas, which, as I outlined earlier, just kind of makes sense. Like, it was in the works before the New Vegas remaster, and so I would guess my understanding is the New Vegas remake remaster is probably something that was greenlit in 2025, maybe even like late 2025, super early 26. Like, I think it's a very, very recent thing. Okay, very recent. Luke doesn't want anybody to be happy. Yeah, you all got to get down on my level. Microsoft and Bethesda seem to have both been caught a little unaware with regard to Fallout's explosive renewed interest and popularity. The Fallout TV show, Fallout 76 updates, and the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, coupled with its Xbox Play Anywhere tag, has led to a surge in players across all versions of the game. I do think that they honestly thought that Fallout 76 did so much brand damage to Fallout that they thought that it wasn't worth, like, it probably was not going to be received super well. I think they honestly thought that Fallout 76 like significantly shifted the interest people had in the franchise, but what they failed to consider was that no, a lot of that negativity around Fallout 76 was specifically because of what kind of game it was. So when they pivoted and instead made it and focused on like a single player game with like Fallout 4 updates, all of a sudden like interest was renewed. They do a TV show that's like narrative focused on the world of Fallout. All of a sudden that starts exploding. So they just genuinely they underestimated it, certainly. As we all know, Bethesda's been pretty stretched. The studio is working on Elder Scrolls 6, which has an absolutely immense amount of hype and anticipation behind it. The team is also working on major updates for Starfield 2. After Starfield, which arguably failed to meet some of the astronomical expectations set by games like Skyrim, I imagine that Bethesda is keen to avoid similar criticisms. Fallout 4 itself also received a fair share of critiques for its shift away from the franchise's gritty role-playing roots, doubling down instead on its open-world sandbox gameplay instead. And we all know what happened with Fallout 76's launch, even if it's rather awesome in its current state. Bethesda's lead, Todd Howard, noted that the studio is investing more than ever into the Fallout franchise in recent interviews, and also expressed support for the shadow drop marketing method for smaller projects like Oblivion. This, though, I think is important to stress. He did say more people and more stuff was being put into Fallout than ever before. And like 2 days later, they revealed the Call of Duty Fallout crossover. I think when Todd talks about Fallout being like bigger than it ever has been, he's talking about Fallout 76 and he's talking about Fallout Call of Duty, Fallout in Fortnite. Like, that's a big component of it. Okay. Like, let's not beat around the bush. Let's be honest. That's definitely a component of what he means. He doesn't just mean, yeah, we actually have 1,000 people working on remakes. I don't think that's what he means. Parent subsidiary ZeniMax also shadow dropped Hi-Fi Rush and called it a success at the time too, although the studio and IP was eventually spun out to Krafton Inc. The gap between announcement and launch for Fallout 4 was quite short too, although the gap between announcement and launch for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 have been notoriously long and painful. True. It's with that in mind that Fallout 5 is likely even further afield. I'm told that Starfield's big update this year represents a lot of technological updates for Bethesda's creation engine, many of which could also hint at capabilities we'll see with Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. In the short term, though, Fallout fans will have to make do with the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, big ticket overhaul mods like Fallout London, ongoing updates to 76, and a bit later remasters for 3 and New Vegas, which, to be fair, is quite a lot, really. If I had to guess, emphasis on guess, I think we could see Fallout 3 remaster at least this year. I imagine it will be similar to Virtuoso's Oblivion remaster with the Unreal Engine, with an Unreal Engine coat of fresh paint on top of the classic Creation Engine experience, albeit with tweaks and combat modernizations, potentially. I'm still digging into details regarding this, locking down exact timings and the scope of the remasters, but I'm told emphatically not to expect them to shadow drop imminently. Could we see them around Xbox's annual June showcase this year? Time will tell. So he's stating very, very clearly, it is not going to shadow drop with the show. It's not dropping at the Xbox showcase. Don't expect it. People have asked, like, why don't studios be more transparent? Why doesn't a studio come out and say, hey, calm down, we're not shadow dropping this? I think it's because nobody wants to intentionally kill hype. But if they need to trim the hype and like level people out, what they'll do is this. I wouldn't be surprised if the person telling Jez, and I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the contact for Jez on these comments were like specifically told, hey, can you reach out to Jez or like a journalist and just tell them we're not shadow dropping. Like, because then you can level out expectations. You don't have to officially as a company kill the hype, but you get to kind of trim it and prevent like overhyping, which is something that is just as deadly and terrible. But yeah, I just think it's I get it. It's fun. It's a vibe. This is fun. It's fun to speculate and get super hyped over it, but like, let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. It's probably just some new t-shirts. It's probably a new cardboard cutout. It's probably like just more normal stuff. Okay. Yeah. To be honest, I had no idea about any of this. This just got me hyped for a shadow drop of Fallout 3. Oh God. Oh, I'm making it worse. I think we do eventually get a shadow drop. I just think it's not going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen 13 days from now. I think it's probably a good bit away. The Fallout 3 remaster, I think, is also probably a good bit away. And the New Vegas remaster, I think, is really far away. So, yeah. Hype makes you stupid. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Ooh, yeah. You need a cardboard cutout of Todd as a ghoul. I want to get one of the ghoul from the Fallout show. I wonder if you can... Hold on. The ghoul... Fallout cardboard cutout. I don't see one. Yeah, I might have to commission one. What a weird thing to commission, but I might have to commission one because I don't see. What if I just look up like celebrity cardboard cutouts? Celebrity cutouts. What if I just search? Oh my God. What if I just search the ghoul? The ghoul. I don't know who this woman is. But that's rough, man. I searched the ghoul and it's this one particular girl. That's a little sad. I feel bad now. I didn't mean to do that. That's a little mean. Yeah, just Walter Goggins, or it's a Walton Goggins. Oh, I could do this. That's a good one. That's a good one. Which one do you guys think would be good? The suit? I do like the suit. The suit's good. This one just makes me laugh. I don't know what I'm even looking at here. That's pretty fantastic. The suit? That's a vibe. That's a vibe. I can see that. I can see that. Call the print shop. The problem is, where do I get a super crazy high resolution photo of the ghoul standing up and down? Like, maybe they would do it. I could see them also throwing a fit over it being copyrighted, but that's funny. They also do a mini version. It stands approximately 24 inches tall, so you can get a little 2-foot one too if you want. That's funny. That's funny. Oh my god, I'm gonna need one of Lucy. I mean, they have a good number. They have Ben Franklin, dude. They have Ben Franklin. Custom. Oh, so they'll actually do them custom too if you want. So we might be able to get the ghoul. The ghoul Fallout picture. Just like, give me a full body. I need a full body shot. That could work. That could work. That's a good photo, but that's of a statue. Maybe I have to go show. I don't know. I can find it. Well, we can hunt one down. I do think that would be a fun addition to our collection. It would be a Walton Goggins picture. Cardboard cutout. That'd be fire. That'd be fire. Yeah. Am I streaming tomorrow? Yes, the plan is to stream tomorrow with the Xbox show. So we're gonna co-stream it and check it out. See what they have to announce. It should be a good number of things, actually. I'm excited to see what they've got. I just want to see more Fable. I'm really excited to see more Fable. They should have a good number of things. Also, people are asking me what I think this is. If you missed it, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Eivor voice actor Magnus Brun shared a story on Instagram today in which he mentioned recording some fun stuff today. Hopefully we'll have a lot of happy gamers later on. This, I would bet you so much money, is for that Invictus game. I can't think of another reason why they would be bringing Eivor back with a voice actor with new lines. So I would bet you good money this is going to be for Invictus, assuming that wasn't canceled or delayed, but it probably was delayed, frankly. But yeah, I would bet you good money that's what that is. Yeah. Yep. Let's see, what time is it on? I think like early afternoon, US. Early afternoon. Okay. We got that. Real quick, thank you, Distro Theory, for that. Let's see, Luke, you guys showcased Exakiller, which is now my most anticipated game this year outside of GTA 6. Out of the games you guys showed on New Game Plus, what is your most anticipated game? Exakiller did look awesome. If you guys don't know which one that is, Exakiller is... Hold on, Exakiller. Here it is. It's this one. Where did I... Remember this one? It's like Fallout meets Cyberpunk. It's a vibe, man. This one looks really, really cool. So I'm also really, really excited for this one. I think this one's going to be baller. There was this one. There's also the, what's it called? It's the pixel art. It's the pixel art roguelike game. Showcase trailers. Let's see. This version cuts out all the yapping. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Where is it? It was later in the show, I think. That's like the historical one. Come on. Come on, load for me. Oh yeah, Dino. Oh, am I not gonna be able to find it? Damn it, dude. Oh yeah, that one with like the dark rooms or the back rooms, that one looked really cool. Oh yeah, this one looks really, really awesome with like the hand-drawn art style. That one looks baller. I can't remember the name of the pixel art one. Oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. That's gonna drive me crazy. Damn. The other one was Britain. I do think that one looks really cool. It's like Portal meets I don't even know what you'd compare it to, but Distant Shore Britain. Yeah, this one with like the cool gravity and like magnetism mechanics. I think that's gonna be really, really brain melting and cool. So that one's cool. Ontos, yeah, Ontos looks baller. I think Project Shadow Glass, we'll see. Like they're very, very early, so like they don't really have anything to show yet beyond, like, I mean, it's prototyping basically at this point, so that's very, very early. There's of course, obviously, like Crimson Desert kind of goes without saying, that one's going to be big. They had a lot of Warhammer stuff we showed off, so I think that stuff looks really cool. There's just a ton. There's a ton. Erosion game. This one. Thank you. Yeah, this is the thank you, Orc. I was like trying to figure it out what it was. Yeah, this is the like voxel pixel art roguelike game where each time you die, a decade of time passes. So if you like, the city changes where everything is based, your daughter who's been kidnapped will age. So you get different endings based on how many times you died. It genuinely sounds really, really cool. Like the challenge runs where you get through without dying once and you rescue her when she's still young. That's the good ending, but like you could reasonably save her and rescue her when she's like 90 years old or when she's dead and gone and buried. And it's just such a clever concept for a game. I think it's really cool. So yeah, that one also I think looks freaking awesome. I'm excited. Let's see. Expanse, Exodus. Yeah, all those Warhammer ones. Yeah, the Last Man Sitting. That one looks really fun. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm excited. Crimson Desert, 8 weeks away. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I'm excited. If I got a chance to create a game, what would it be? I with no budgets or anything, I want to do a super high production value blockbuster adventure narrative game, but set in the golden age of piracy. That's what I want. Yep. Lock it in. Lock it in. I think you don't even need to do anything like super fantastical. I don't think you need to do anything magical or anything to make it unique. I think you literally just do pirates, but like honest and real pirates. I think KCD too, but pirates. Exactly. Obi-Wan read my freaking mind as I'm saying it. KCD, but pirates. Give me that. I'm a happy camper. Sailing the seas, immersive sim elements, compelling narrative. Like, oh God. Take me away to a special place. That pirate place. That's all I need. That's all I need. So Pirates of the Caribbean, but good. Are you insinuating that Pirates of the Caribbean is not good? Are you insinuating that they're not amazing films? Is that your suggestion? Is that what you were suggesting to me right now? Interesting. Interesting. Because I would say, like, you can say that. I mean, you would sound crazy to me, but like, you can say that. I just would say, like, that's crazy. You're crazy. Cancel him. Yeah, exactly. The first three are peak. Yeah, I will say the fourth one is like what are we doing, fam? But yeah, I do like that one. Get him, guys. KCD but Pirates set sail to the next island, and it requires 5 days in-game time to get there. Yeah, it's like actually realistic. But dude, imagine how baller that would be. Full immersive pirate game. It'd be so good. Pirate game based on Black Sail's show would be amazing. Dude, pirates are underutilized. Oh my god. Excuse me. Super underutilized. We need more of it. Officially. Lock it in. Lock it in. That's my stance. That's my stance. Okay. Do I have anything else? Somebody has made what I have to believe is a fake Highguard official account. A fake official Highguard account on Blue Sky that has started probably fake marketing campaign today. It's the same Twitter handle though. The fan art post is a good bit. Fan art thread, post your Play Highguard fan art and fan works below. Wrest control the shield breaker from enemies and wardens, then use it to shatter the keep. Dude, I don't know if it's fake. If this is real, that's funny. I don't have a Blue Sky. Blue Sky. It was at Highguard. Play Highguard. Oh, posted 5 seconds ago. Hold on. Wield an assault rifle, call the lightning. Tag a friend who's hyped for Play Highguard and join the Highguard community. Those bonds will be tested on the battlefield, so be ready January 26th. We didn't expect such a strong response just one day into our social media campaign. The Highguard community is so strong, even though it's just getting started. Follow us to get more updated information on the mythical continent of Play Highguard. It might be fake, dude. Pretty good. It's pretty good. Will says, proud of you guys. Here's my fan art of the one dude with the spiky hair and the gun and the sword. It's pretty good. John Highguard. My favorite. Alex said, fan art of who, bro? We don't know anything about these bozos. Right? I've seen one trailer. My interest failed when I saw it was another hero shooter. I can't tell what anyone's name is. Hell, I can't even tell you what their voices sound like. To the social media handler, I'm so sorry. This is Jane Highguard from Play Highguard. She guards high and doesn't afraid of anything. Thank God she doesn't afraid of anything. She is Warden of the Round Table who will take place in the Holy Shieldbreaker War exclusively on January 26th. Play Highguard. It's John Highguard doing his iconic Highguard. Dude, this is more marketing than anyone's done, and it's probably fake. He looks like the guy from Guardian Heroes. I don't know what you're talking about. This is clearly John Highguard from the hit upcoming video game Highguard. This is so Jacob coded. This is such like Jacob humor too. My favorite character is John Highguard. Highguard. Goatee 2026. I'm bending the rules a bit. Hee hee. Here's my Highguard OC I made after watching the trailer. Her backstory is she's the highest guard in the entire world, and she has the ability to do infinite backwards long jumps. Also, I can't actually draw, so here's my cat is the face claim. Love Highguard Nation. Cute kitty. Of whom we have nothing to work with. I thought this guy was pretty cool. This, but replace MatPat with the entire general gaming audience. I believe MatPat is going to enjoy this. I think MatPat will enjoy dissecting this frame by frame. Yes, MatPat, you should totally reply to our DM. Dude, that's so cringe. I thought I was out of the loop, but apparently nobody else knows what you're talking about either. It's not too late to delete this post. This is genuinely hilarious. I genuinely can't tell if this is a parody account or not. Dude, please stay calm. I created my account here just for this. This reminds me of Toon Souls guy. Highguard. I'm guarding so high right now. I got guard all over my shit. I'm Highguarder for real. The amount of people believing this account is real, earnestly asking for fan art, LMAO, Masterful bit. Yeah, the account was only set up yesterday and the other social media account for the game is still dead. It's a good bit though. Here's Amari from Concord. I'm still surprised this account is here. Bro, honestly, that's pretty freaking funny. Oh, that's pretty funny. What's even funnier is the odds that like I can't get what's even crazier is that, like, no joke, this I think it's fake. It's funny if they didn't register the username, but I mean it's pretty freaking funny if this ends up being like a real account. And oh man, stay tuned for new Warden introduction is headed your way in just 1 hour. That's almost as fast as Shieldbreaker can break down and destroy enemy bases to secure territory. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's probably fake, but bro, if this is real, this is freaking hilarious. Either way, it's funny. But bro, this is something else. This is something else. Tag a friend who is hyped for Play Highguard and join the Highguard community. I've been waiting to play Highguard since I was a little boy. Wield an assault rifle, a 3-shooter, or call down lightning on your foes when you play Highguard. What'll you be picking up first when the game releases in 5 days? Dude, this is like performance art. I kind of love it, dude. I kind of love it. I can't wait. I'm going to be watching this for the rest of today to just see, like, do they occasionally throw in like a little joke or jab, or are they going to keep playing it totally straight? What's funny is that we can't tell the difference between this being a parody account and maybe being a real account. Wouldn't it be freaking hilarious if they were like, hey, X is too toxic right now. People are being too mean to us. So let's just not do marketing there. Let's just market on Blue Sky. Oh my God. It's insane. We'll see what happens with it. I'll keep an eye on it. But I'm so thoroughly enjoying this. Real or fake? Probably fake. It's still pretty hilarious. I'm here for it. It's so good. Oh, my face hurts. Oh.
At Sadugasella donated $50 through Super Chat.
Jeez, thank you.
Luke, love the stream. I'm a comic creator and would love to get your professional thoughts on my series. I'm happy to send you a copy and pay for a dedicated 1-minute review segment if you're open to it.
Oh, well, first of all, very generous Super Chat. Thank you for that. That's super generous. As for your comic series, sure, send it over. My contact info, you can get all that stuff from my manager at luke@28thav.com. Pretty much everything I do filters through him so that he keeps track of all of it for like legal and accounting reasons. But yeah, reach out to him. And I don't think you need to pay me for a minute review of a comic. If you've got a cool comic that you want me to check out and mention, I can do that. But yeah, reach out luke@28thav.com and they can get you hooked up with what you need. Okay, thank you. That very generous $50 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Okay. I'm like, my face hurts from laughing. That was freaking hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna keep this pulled up because if this ends up being real, I'm gonna die laughing. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, you should share the name of the comic. People can check it out. My face is tired from things. If it's fake, how did the devs not lock down all the account names? I mean, if you're gonna not bother with a platform, Blue Sky is probably the Blue Sky and Threads. Like, I don't think anybody's actually Blue Sky, I think, is bigger than Threads, but if they didn't get the account on Blue Sky, like, I don't find that shocking. Like, if they missed it on Twitter, that's a big deal. But yeah, the funny thing is that if this is not real and it's fake, they need to come out and say it's fake. But that would require them to say something, which I think is the point of the account. If it's like parody, which I think it is, they're trying to get the devs to come out and say something. Specifically, this is not us. But then it's funny because then the only thing they came forward to talk about was how they were not the ones talking, which is funny. So it's really brilliant when you think about it. Really, it is. What if the one on Twitter isn't real? Dude. That's brilliant. It's all been fake. This is the only real thing. Whoa. Have you heard of the new game Hytale? Thoughts? I've heard of it. I've not checked it out or anything. My understanding is basically like new Minecraft. Minecraft 2. Yeah, it's overhauled like a lot of those core systems and graphics and combat and stuff. So I've not checked it out. I'm not familiar with it, but I will I'm sure my little brother knows all about it. I could ask him. He'd know. He would know. Let's see. Have you seen who they cast as Heimdall in the God of War show? I did not. Boots Alum Max Parker. Honestly, I could see it. Honestly, I could see it. That seems solid. So far, I've been impressed. I think that they've done a good job so far. Yeah, I could totally see that. That looks solid. That looks solid. Which email again? It's just Luke at 28thave.com. Luke at 28thave.com. If you don't hear from him in like a day or two, just send a follow-up ping. We get like hundreds of emails a day because all of the like sponsorship offers and stuff and everything from every platform, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everything goes through there. So it can get busy. It can get busy. Let's see. So where did I good to see you, Kartoffel. Let's see. It was all a ruse from Jeff. The game never existed. Honestly, I would respect it if it was like this whole thing was an illusion. I'd respect it, frankly. Have you seen the prequel for Plague Tale? Yeah, I'm excited for that. I love Plague Tale, so I'm interested what they do there. Okay. Yeah, they even had 2.8 million active players on day one of Hytale early access. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's my understanding is it like exploded. A lot of people have been waiting a long time. Okay. I can't get over that. It's so flippin' funny. Okay, so I'm going to call it there, my friends. I will be back tomorrow, rocking and rolling, for the Xbox Showcase. They will have the Xbox Developer Direct, where they should be showing a good bit of new Fable gameplay, deep dives, and all of that. It should really give us a firm idea of what that game is like. So I'm very excited for that. We'll be here talking about it, rocking and rolling. It's going to be a good time. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. And we'll watch it together, okay? Much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Mwah.